Okay. And
Owl's already talking about. Hi! Already talking about Xavion missing his jacket.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? How is your Friday? We are back,
hey
and today we are super excited to present you our special guest, Venus Theory. His name is Cameron, but you probably know him well as Venus Theory. And,
yeah, Mr. Venus was my father.
Oh.
So,
you guys,
he will be hanging out with us today. We will be listening to cool tunes, and we also can ask him questions. And
Johnny Depp, I don't know.
So make sure to prepare your questions and shoot them in chat when you're ready. So
Yes,
Cameron,
definitely.
how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Yeah, no, it's an honor to be here. I just found out about SGM, a couple weeks ago, I think, right? With Akrow on here and Wander. I watched the Wander episode right after, so it's a great show. Found some really cool new songs, too, and new artists to check out, so that's been great. But yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of ready to hang and chill and drink some coffee and listen to some tunes, you know?
Yeah, totally. We're up for that, too. And hopefully, you know, if anybody has any questions for you to get answered. You know, one thing that I found is so cool for everybody that's coming in, this is Venus Theory's our guest tonight, Cameron, woo! Is the fact that, you know, Cameron is more than, you know, a musician. You know, he does videography and, you know, commercials. He does regular music. He does, you know, commercial music. And I just think that you do sound design. Like, there's so many aspects.
I even find time to sleep too, which is crazy.
Shocking.
Yeah, this is shocking. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That is so cool, you guys. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody that's over here from Venus Theory's streams and channels. Welcome to SGM. Got lots of cool music for you guys tonight.
Yeah, I'm curious what's on the playlist here this evening.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you don't know that.
I was gonna say it's all a surprise to me, so we're just winging it.
It'll all be a surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all my old stuff that I hate listening to. Surprise, and I have to sit here and grit my teeth and be like, "Great, thanks for showing that one."
Surprise! No, it's a pretty good chill variety tonight. We usually try to do that with our shows. So we got, you know, chill out, ambient, future garage, a little bit of light wave in there. Yeah, a lot of kicked back beats. And I think there's a little something for everybody. So
yes, we have
Midwest
today again.
Yes.
So we may start with some question for the beginning, so we can just start talking. You know. So I wanted to ask you, Cameron, because many of us actually know you from your YouTube channel, from your helpful tutorials, awesome tutorials. Actually, you doing them. I mean, they are pretty great. It's very easy to understand and follow up. So when you decided to do YouTube channel, when you decided to do the tutorials, and how it all started for you?
Let's see. I think YouTube for me started around 2017 or so. I had just finished working on an EP with my wife, which was the first thing I released under the Venus Theory name. And I don't know, we were just kind of getting done with music and, like, you know, touring and stuff, because we had done that before. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll maybe do some tutorials, because you know, this, believe it or not, is not my first YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel many years ago, and I was like, I kind of enjoyed that. I guess I'll, you know, maybe I'll make some tutorials again, because I haven't done that in a while. And at the time, I was doing a lot of video editing for a company. So started doing that, and then I kind of found I just had this niche to it, where I was kind of teaching things that nobody else was really doing, because I was trying to make the tutorials I wish I had, you know, which my early videos are very, very specific. Like, it's stuff that 3 people on the entire planet care about. But from there, it kind of clicked that I was like, okay, you know, people recognize this and they like it. So then I started pushing more into that, and eventually that became like my full-time gig, is just doing YouTube and stuff that stems from my YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, that was about a year and a half of that or so, and then I was able to just back out of my, you know, day job and whatever and get full-time into the music and sound design and all the stuff that I do now. So it was a really weird transition, you know, and not something I expected either, because, you know, for me it just started as kind of a fun thing of like, I want to make some tutorials and teach people like some cool tricks and some stuff, and then yeah, within a year, next thing you know, I'm like, all right, I quit, bye.
So
that is really cool.
As we understood, YouTube is only part of your work right now, so you are doing like commercials and voiceovers as well?
Yeah, I do a little bit of voiceover work every once in a while. It's not really like a primary thing that I do, but it's funny because like just the way I sound, people want to hire me for that, because I mean, it's not really common. You know, you don't run into people that sound like a car commercial every day. So yeah, so I do that, but then I do a lot of background music for like commercial stuff and whatever. So a lot of the companies I work with, when they have a new product release, obviously they need like a video, and the video needs background music, or if they release a new synthesizer or something, you know how there's like the demo tracks on the page. So I'll write that music and do that kind of stuff as well, and then obviously I do the presets and kind of all that stuff. So it's a lot.
So cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was the weird thing though, was to me it was like I have a lot of weirdly specific skills, and I never really thought that would go anywhere, you know, because it's like it's just how you think of it as like, oh, I know how to do that, sure, but I never thought of kind of combining it all together. And once that started to take place, you know, then I was able to actually start getting a lot of work and make that into a career. So it's funny because it's like I feel like a lot of artists are that way though. You know, we know graphic design and we know mixing and we know, you know, maybe some mastering stuff and maybe how to make sounds, but it's like once you start to combine all that, you know, I really don't think it's out of the reach of someone with a good degree of business skills to translate that into a career.
Definitely. And it's I mean, it really speaks to like your ingenuity and like fluidity back and forth kind of between like the music world and the, you know, photography and videography and things like that too, in the sense of not just like for music and not, but you know, even from like a marketing perspective, which again gets into business, which is really cool. So
no, I mean, there's a
a
good degree of business stuff to it, and I think that's something that maybe a lot of people don't recognize too, is you really do have to be a good business person to make this kind of stuff work, which is funny. But yeah, I mean, it is the music business after all.
Right. So kind of taking up with Anna's like line of talking about like the different things that you do, and like, you know, with videography and sound design and music. So you've been doing this for a while. Like, when did you kind of start music? Like, we're talking like way back at the beginning, like pre you and Alicia. Like, when did you start? And then my question, it might be a little bit loaded, but as far as like the sound design part, right? Because you're real, like that's really like a real thing for you, you know, like it's awesome on like your channel, and like you really like breaking things down, explaining that. Is that something like you learned that from someone, or like from a few someones, or is that something like you were able to, you know, learn this in a way kind of on your own, and then you took off from there?
Yeah. I guess the early days of music, I don't know, I do remember being really young and like singing in the car all the time, and my mom hated it because I'm not a good singer either. But and I remember, I guess I would sing in church all the time when I was a kid, but I was way too young to remember that. But I distinctly remember around the time, I think my mom or my dad gave me a harmonica, and I don't even know how old I would have been. I would have been so young, but I remember playing that just all the time. It was like my favorite thing in the world. But I didn't really get properly into music and stuff until I wanted to play drums. That was what I wanted to do originally. But of course, my parents, being my parents, said, "We're not buying you a drum set." Absolutely not. Because, you know, I was like 7 or whatever. Exactly. So my parents were like, okay, you know, we get it, but that's never going to happen. So no.
Yeah.
So then I guess I don't really remember what happened, but I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'll play guitar then. You know, what? Thanks, Mom and Dad, for supporting my dreams. I guess I'll play guitar. So yeah, my dad bought me a guitar and kind of started doing that. And that was probably around, 7 or 8 or 9, maybe. I can't really remember. And that was really it from there. And then by the time I was a teenager, I wanted to write or record songs. But I lived in this really tiny town of, I think maybe 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I could go out and form a band. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn how to play other instruments because I wanted to play songs. Mm-hmm. But, it's not like there's a drummer down the street, so I had to learn to play drums, and I had to learn to figure out how to play bass. But then it became, okay, now I want to record this. So I had to start all over again, and then figure out, like, how do I record a song together, and how do I record all these parts? So that kind of started my interest, I think, in the technology end of it, of, learning music production and figuring out how to, record all my stuff and make it into a song. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I had to learn mixing and I wasn't good at that for a long time. But eventually, after I kind of got better at things, that was where sound design started kicking in, because after a long time of playing guitar and stuff, I kind of felt like I did everything I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really smart enough to like reinvent the way I play an instrument or something. And, a guitar just sounds like a guitar. It doesn't really go beyond that. And I think that's where synthesizers really started to seem interesting to me, because a synthesizer can do so many different things.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I got Native Instruments FM8, which is the worst synth you could buy as a first synthesizer because it's so incredibly complicated. Like, if you know anything about FM synthesis, it's pretty heady stuff after a while. And I just became obsessed with, like, it sounds so cool, but I don't know why. So I had to figure it out. And I had to sit there and, like, and the manual for FM8, mind you, is like that thick. There's a lot to it. So I sat there and just read the manual and figured it out. And that was kind of, from there, I was like, okay, I get it. And now I can do this. And now I can do this. And then it became, I wanted to make electronic music type of stuff because I was bored of doing, like, rock and roll and whatever. Mm-hmm. So I sold out, man. And I wanted to get sample packs, but sample packs are really expensive, especially after, and this, mind you, this is before the days of Splice and stuff that we have now. Mm-hmm. This was, a decade ago or so, I guess now. And I just kind of started figuring it out. I was like, okay, a kick drum is just kind of like a boom, So I figured out, so I could hit my desk, and I could, add some low end and then shorten it a little bit and do some stuff. And it starts to sound like a kick drum. And then from there, it became more an abstract thing for me, where, like, my music now and sound design for me now is also part of the emotional process of, like, conveying an idea. Mm-hmm. So if I've got a synth that feels, icy and digital, I might look at recording the sounds of ice. Like, if you drop an ice cube in some water, it makes like a crack, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you could record that and turn that into, like, the snare drum for the song.
That's
or
cool.
you could crunch some snow and turn that into kind of like a vinyl crackle type layer and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it was just this slow progressive thing of, like, I started on guitar, but then I had to figure everything else out because, like, there was no one there I could do it with. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just a matter of being really obsessive about, like, I wish I could do that, and I wish I knew why this was doing what it's doing. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, being like, wow, I wish my mixes didn't sound like such garbage. So I invested
we all wish that, though.
Right? No, and that was the thing, is it just became this compulsion where I was like, I need to know how to do this better.
Yeah.
And then eventually,
really cool.
Eventually it all just came together, in just the last couple years, really, of like, oh, I guess if I kind of do all of this stuff, that can be a job. Mm-hmm. Because like music doesn't pay the bills, shockingly, a lot of the time.
Well, it's starting to for you, right? So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know, like, your videos have been such a help to so many in the community, and it's really, really cool because just over the past, like, week, we've kind of talked or had people mention, like, oh, it's so cool we have these kind of, like, two chill communities that are kind of, like, colliding or, like, kind of coming together for this. And you know what's really neat is like, even though like not necessarily that, you know, we had known each other in the sense of like SGM and Venus Theory, or even like some of our artists or people that follow you regularly, there's a lot of artists in the chill community in general that know Venus Theory. They've watched Venus Theory, you know, YouTube, they've gotten Venus Theory samples. They, you know, I mean, even when I first started, you know, which was about 2 years ago, when I had questions, people would be like, hey, have you checked out this Venus Theory YouTube video? You know, and I just like, that's so cool to me though, because it's like you reach, like your stuff is reaching beyond just like the smaller, like niche genres.
No, it's wild.
It's like,
and that's the thing is
really
it's like,
cool.
It's such a, not really like a micro genre, but it is a smaller community overall. And it was weird to kind of see such a broad appeal to it, because I never thought that, you know, my YouTube or anything would go anywhere, because it's just it's a niche thing. But it is super weird. But it's awesome too to hear, you know, people from Belgium or whatever that are like, hey dude, I love your channel. And it's like, that's crazy.
Right.
that you know, that internet thing is really going to take off one of these days. It's crazy
days.
stuff. Yeah.
When it doesn't take 5 minutes to dial up, right? Like
Exactly.
Yeah,
we got Lazarus moment.
By the way, I often use your sample packs, actually, especially picks and snares. You know, I like them much better than Splice samples because, you know, because they are more, how to say, they are better for ambient and some future garage tracks, and they they sound nicer and softer, you know. So guys, actually in under this video in description below you can find links to Venus Theory sites, YouTube and other socials, and also sample packs.
And a bunch of free ones too. There's a ton of free samples if you want to go get some stuff.
So if you did not check it yet before, so you may want to check them. It's actually lots of useful stuff there.
But it's funny that you mentioned that too, because I do a lot of commercial sample pack production for companies that release on Splice and whatever.
That's really cool.
So but it's funny because the way I have to approach that is so different than like what I do for my own sample packs. And I'm with you. It's like I had the same kind of thought where I was like, I should start just doing my own packs and taking, because, you know, a lot of my sample packs are stuff from my personal collection. I just kind of dial it down and put it into a pack. But it's funny that like when I'm doing, you know, Splice packs and whatever, they all, no matter what I'm working on, I feel like they all just sound kind of generic and they all kind of sound the same. And then for, like the chill stuff, if you look for chill samples on Splice, they, you know, they don't quite have the right feel to them. I don't know what it is, but it's just, they don't work. They feel too hyped and too...
They're more like for EDM stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like even the chill side of Splice is still so like EDM feeling, and it's like I just it's like I just want some crunchy bits and some stuff, you know. So that was like, I'm gonna just start putting that out on my site because nobody else is gonna do it apparently, and even I've pitched that kind of stuff to some of the sample labels I've worked with. Where I'm like, hey, let's make a really cool like organic thing and let's make it very, you know, chill and whatever. And they're like, no, you know, that's, no one's gonna like that. And it's like, okay, well, more for me then, I guess.
Yeah. That is, when you said like that you use some of your personal collection and put that in sample packs, it just kind of reminded me when I had messaged you and kind of jokingly said, you know, actually I think I used a Venus Theory bass on my last song. And you had responded like, yeah, I use that too. And I just like, it just, I know it's just like in jest, but it was just funny because I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, because it's a Venus Theory bass, right? I mean,
yeah, I use a lot of Venus Theory samples myself for sure.
For sure. Well, before we get into the song we want to start with, which I think everybody will be really excited to find out about, I just wanted to read off what somebody said in the chat, and I'm pretty sure this is someone that usually follows your YouTube videos. This is Fellow Scorpio. Mm-hmm. And I just really liked what he said here. He said a lot of YouTube channels feel like they cover, like he feels like they cover the same content, but Cameron actually covers diverse content that's consistently interesting. And I have to say, like, that's just so yes for your YouTube.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a big
not-
point I try and make because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of other YouTube channels that I follow, and you know, there's a lot of really great YouTube creators out there, obviously, but I feel like a lot of the, I don't know, the big channels, I guess, or like, you know, the ones everybody watches, yeah, it's just kind of rehashing the same idea a lot of the time, or it's such a surface level look at something and they don't really explain, you know, what they're doing or why they're doing it. And I feel like, to me personally, that's the stuff I value more. You know, I want to know why something works so that I can take that idea and make it my own. Whereas a lot of channels seem to want to give you this copy paste, you know, twist this, do this, and you don't learn anything from it. You're not able to take that.
Exactly.
You're just able to copy it. Or my favorite is when they're like, we're going to make this sound and the presets in the description. So it's like, so why do I need to watch this video then? Like, all you're going to do is tell me what you did for this preset, so there's no point in me being here.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. So
cool.
it's something I try and make a point of, like, I want to make videos that I want to watch and I wish other people were doing, or I want to present something in a way that's very accessible, you know, and, like, people can understand it and build from it. And, you know, give people tools to create something and not just copy what someone else is doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I love about your channel as well. So, any other
Alright,
good.
you
questions,
guys?
Michelle? We have before we play
Well,
new track.
I think like the main one that I had wanted to ask more about Cameron's, you know, his history coming into the sound design was my big one. I know everybody in chat's going to have a lot of questions for Cameron, so I'll hold anything else I have for now, because I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if somebody else asks something that I would ask. So if we want to go ahead and start with this first song, and for everybody that's joining the chat that is just peeking in, we have Venus Theory with us tonight. This is Cameron, super awesome guy. You guys are going to love it. We have something special for you guys to start this off, and then we are going to go into songs and question kind of format. I will say, if people are coming in and you guys are asking questions that Cameron's already answered, I'm probably just going to send you guys like a little emoji check mark and just say, we've already covered this. I mean, unless it's something short and quick and Cameron catches it and decides to like spit that out again. But if not, just to save time, because I'm sure everybody has lots of questions, then we'll just say like, hey, we already covered that if you guys want to check out the video like after. So awesome.
Okay, guys, so now we jump in a new track that is coming out very soon. New track from Cameron. He finished it just before, almost before the show, so we are very proud to present this track in our show, and we all have the chance to listen it first before everyone else. And it's just beautiful. Let's have a listen and prepare your chat and questions meanwhile. So let's see what we have here. I personally really love it.
Good.
Let's go. Volume up. Just beautiful, just beautiful. I mean, I just want to start from emotion that is in this track, because for me it just brings, you know, it's chill and calm, but at the same time it's kind of a little bit sad and enigmatic vibe. I mean, for me, so. And I really love all sounds here. They're very. I mean, each piece has its own meaning in this mix, and I really love it. And of course, this haunting vocal in the middle, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Good. I hope so.
I mean, this song felt so cohesive. I like Lazarus Moment said, it just felt like all of the sounds were like meant to be together. Like this, almost like this like marriage of sounds. It was, I don't know, it was very beautiful. It was very emotional. I think Aerohead mentioned that it felt very nostalgic. I felt that too. And I think maybe that's kind of like where Anna's feeling a little bit of like a sadness vibe, you know, because like sometimes that nostalgic feel, you know, like that longing, like looking back, which I mean, the title of this track, when we look back on now, you know, it's like, you know, that thought, that feeling of like looking back in the past a little bit. I don't know. That was absolutely beautiful. The sounds in that were wonderful. Just good. Yes. We loved it. I think everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the whole theme of the track, kind of like I talked about when I was writing it, or, well, finishing it on the stream. So the title is When We Look Back on Now, and the whole theme of the song being that, like, you know, kind of where I'm at right now, we're getting ready to, you know, we just bought a house, we're moving and whatever, and we're leaving. You know, we've both lived in this area like our whole lives, so it's kind of a big change and whatever. So, you know, it's kind of, and that's the big thing for me musically, is like I always want to try and convey an actual personal idea, because from that, I think one of the most powerful things is that a listener can extrapolate their own interpretation of something. So the way I feel about something and the way I interpret an experience or whatever, a feeling, you know, a memory, and how I can convey that, you know, it says what it says to me, but it says something completely different to someone else. And I find that fascinating that that is done purely in terms of sonic information, both melodically and in terms of, you know, timbre and combination. So, you know, we hear a piano playing a minor chord, but, you know, does that make you think of your grandma's piano when you were growing up, or does it make you think of, you know, school, or what does it make you think of? So, and that's a big thing, but, you know, part of this track as well is conveying the idea of, you know, when you look back on moments in your life and you kind of have this feeling of nostalgia for something that never existed. That's an idea from, I guess it's, what was it, Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. So it's kind of just that weird feeling of like, you know, what could have been different or what could have changed, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of wrapping up a lot of feels into a song. So it's really hard to do, but it's good to hear that it conveys.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I think that kind of segues into a question that we had as far as the tracks, like meaning, and I think, who was it? Let's see. Let me come back up here. So Andy Nicholson had asked you the question, at what point do you decide on the track names? And is it something that you have in mind before you start?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I do have a running list of just song titles, and that's kind of a thing where, like, I have an idea and I don't know what that idea is yet. I just know, you know, this title, this is what it's gonna be. So I have just kind of a list of titles where, like, sometimes, you know, I don't know what I want to write, or I'm sitting, you know, in front of my piano or my DAW and just trying to figure out what I want to do. So I'll pull from that and try and say, okay, so what is this saying to me, and how am I gonna, you know, translate that into music? Other times I'll kind of be writing something, and, you know, you'll kind of get those little vignettes in your head of, like, you know, almost like a music video in your head or something, or just kind of little sinews of memory, and I gotta kind of, you know, pull from the mental void, and you know, if I had to put that into a word or a phrase, what is it? And that becomes the title. Otherwise, sometimes stuff just sounds cool, so I just use it. Sometimes there's really no deeper meaning. I'm just like, dope title, man. We're going with that one.
That's cool. And that's fair. So I feel like that's, I think we've heard that from a couple of different artists, that it's kind of a mixture, like you said, a mixed bag. I feel like that's a good example,
yeah.
That sums that up nicely. Sticky Rice would like to know what your favorite microphone is and why.
I mean, as a sound designer, I have a lot of microphones. I have enough microphones to make someone sick. I guess speaking microphones, I really, really like this one. I just got this one recently. This is a Lewitt LCT 440 Pure, and it's actually pretty cheap. It's under $300. And funny enough, I have an AKG C214, which is a pretty expensive mic. I think it's around $500 or so. And this is kind of a competitor to that. And to me, this one sounds better because the AKG is really bright. So like, your S's and stuff are just, it's like someone taking an ice pick into your ear. It's so bright. So I really like this one just for general vocals, even voiceover stuff. This is the microphone I usually use. For general recording, my go-to mic is this one. It's a shotgun microphone. It's a Deity S Mic 2. So it's a really long.
It doesn't
thin...
look like a microphone.
Is that the one? Is that the one that you used in your coffee video?
Yeah. So a shotgun microphone is cool because they're very tiny, but they're very focused. A lot of other microphones, due to the polar patterns, because they're cardioid typically on the generic end of microphones, they'll pick up a wider spread of the sound, but a shotgun microphone is very focused, so it only gets kind of what you're pointing it at, and it negates everything around it for the most part. So it's a really great microphone for picking up just super detailed recordings of stuff. It's almost like having a zoom lens in a microphone, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And then I've got a gajillion other microphones that I use, but it really depends on what I'm recording, Like for guitars, I'll use a different mic than for vocals and so on.
Yeah.
So, a hard and very expensive question to answer.
Right. Well, I have another one. I don't know that it'll be any easier, but it's kind of not necessarily in the technical realm. Zypher would like to know, how do you start a track when you start a track? Because that seems to be something, and we get that question a lot, because, sometimes that can be really tough for artists, especially like newer artists, like when we're kind of sitting here and it's like, we have some ideas, but we're not really sure. What's your process?
I mean, I think the big thing is I feel like people feel like they suffer from writer's block more than they actually do, because I found earlier on, I seemed to constantly have this expectation when I sat in front of my DAW that something was just going to start happening and I was going to make a song. So I feel like the starting process for me is just trying to maintain a conscious effort to recognize when something is ready to be written. I've got to have that mood and that vibe and that mindset before I sit in front of a DAW. Otherwise, I sit there and go, well, what am I going to make? And, staring at an empty DAW is really intimidating. Because it's just like there's such a long journey ahead of you, to like write stuff and mix it and master, and it sucks. It's really hard, and it's really, really frustrating, especially if you're just plonking out melodies and going, that's dumb, that's dumb, that's dumb.
Wow, this sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But I think that's the thing is it's like I have to sit down kind of devoid of expectations. I need to sit down with an idea in mind and then start to shape that. But to me, the biggest thing with a song, and I mean, this skews towards the spectrum of ambient music and, whatever I do, where it's all about the vibe, and I need to curate and maintain that vibe and emotion in something. So for me, a lot of the times, it's just trying to pull things together that create a mood. It's not necessarily anything specific. Sometimes it's a rhythm, sometimes it's a melody. A lot of the times, it's just, I'll just start with some pads and try and layer in some texture, some noise or people talking and like filter that down and just try and, pull from that void and mold something. I kind of get this, it's like working with clay, I think a lot of the time. I get this rough pile of mud, and eventually it's a more polished pile of mud, and it starts to sound more gooder. And then, throw an OTT on it or something, and I'm like, sick, bro.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
For me, it's, I don't know, I feel in a weird way that songs are kind of already written. You just have to discover them, if that makes any sense.
That's a cool way to put it. Yeah. So I noticed on one of your streams you were doing one time when you were just kind of improvising. And during your session, you were kind of like consciously, you know, doing some music theory, like, okay, I'm going to do sus this. And, you know, and it was, I mean, it was really cool, like listening to you, like name and figure the chords, like kind of as you were just elongating them and playing them. How much do you figure in like your music theory when you start to write a song? Like, do you literally sit there and be like, okay, like I want to write, you know, I want to write this, you know, a 4-chord or 8-chord pattern, and I want the pattern to kind of be, you know, like major, minor, or, you know, I mean, how do you, is that something like you just go with what you are feeling like as you play, or do you like consciously map things out, you know? I
mean, I think I say a lot that I don't consciously think of it, but I think subconsciously it's there just because I've done this stuff for so long.
Right.
You know, so it's like I know my way around, like I'm not some theory genius by any means, but like I know my way around it enough to where it's just burned into the back of my head. But I don't think it's a very forward thing when I'm writing. It's just like if I get stuck, then I'll kind of, you know, open the file cabinet and dust it off in my brain and be like, okay, so if I'm playing this chord, where can I go? You know, because like I'm starting to, like this is starting to feel boring, or like I wish this felt different. What could I do? But the only big thing I think I make an effort to do is voice chords in specific ways. And this is kind of a big thing from like Brian Eno and like earlier ambient artists. One of the big tips I think for people trying to write this kind of stuff is it's not necessarily about a specific progression. It's a way that you get from A to B. And, you know, if you're doing 4 chords, great. If you're doing 8 chords, great. If you're not doing a chord progression at all and you're just kind of flowing, it doesn't matter. But the biggest thing is learning to do like chord inversions, where you do as little movement as possible to get from one to the other. And then you get these really smooth movements and stuff. Cool. Yeah. So that's the only thing I think that really, you know, I'm always kind of looking at and thinking about is like, where are my hands right now and where could they go? But it's not necessarily like, okay, so I'm doing a, you know, a minor 9 and I want to switch to this, even though I can think that way. It's not often very useful in practical, just making music. Yeah. But it is something that's worth learning.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really cool. So I think we're going to just do these last, it's not really two, one's a statement, one's a question kind of. And then we're going to start with the songs that Anna and I want to share tonight.
Sweet.
We're super excited to share them with you and with like everybody that's watching. One is an easy rehash. The Broken Cradle wanted to know once again what the microphone you're speaking into right now.
Oh, I'll type that into the chat here.
Perfect.
That is a
it was kind of a mouthful, so
yeah. Does it have a mute button?
No, I just use that on my mixer.
Oh, I see.
And then while you're typing that out, Eminis actually wanted to know if in your collection of microphones you had a specific microphone, and now I can't find it. So Em, what was the microphone you wanted to ask about?
Did he mention this about Mike?
Sure, SM7B.
SM7B. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have an SM7B. Personally, I don't really care for the sound of an SM7B. I like it on male rock vocals and like screamo rah, stuff that I used to do. And I sometimes like it on female vocals for like female rock artists. And guitars. Some people find that weird, but I actually like an SM7B on a guitar cabinet. But for a vocal mic, it's not my favorite thing. I've always been a fan of the RE2020 for that, just because I feel like that's more of like your classic, you know, Howard Stern radio guy microphone. The SM7B is just a very popular counterpart, but I don't have one because I don't really care for the sound of it.
That's cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll jump into our new songs. I think Anna's
that's
gonna
enough
introduce
nerd
this
time.
first
All
one.
right.
No, we have plenty more nerd time. Everybody, please, like, you know, while the song's playing, we're obviously going to be listening to this awesome track. But, you know, think of some more questions you guys have for Cameron. And then, you know, maybe after the song's finished, if y'all want to try to drop them in the chat so they don't get lost. Perfect.
All right, guys. Now we have a track from Weirdjack. We did not feature this artist before, and I was very glad to find this artist. The track title is 2 a.m. I don't know, maybe some of you already have 2 a.m. So, yeah, anyway, and I think that I saw him in our chat today, so
he's here.
Let's listen. Okay. So what do you guys think about this one?
I'm gonna let Cameron go first since he's the guest.
See, I liked I liked how kind of detailed the mid range was, at least what I could hear through Zoom. It was really well mixed. The progression was really nice, but I liked the focus of things, which is something I feel like is lacking a lot in this kind of style. Where, you know, there's a lot of little ideas and it doesn't necessarily follow something, but it was nice to hear that it was very led by a lead element, kind of the piano and the atmospheric elements, but everything else was really well designed to support that. Interesting how bass heavy it was too. You know, really big deep bass in it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice progression, nice sound.
So.
Yeah.
Especially that mid bass. It's funny. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sub bass is great, but I love that mid bass. I love it when I can hear it real great in my headphones, you know, because my headphones aren't like
bass.
real low, you know, real low bass range. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked the little sounds, you know, like the little tinkly, you know, clippy sounds as well. And I did like some of the really cool, almost like synthy, moody sounds that were kind of stuck in there. How about you, Anna?
I personally love progression.
Yeah.
Very much, especially this 8th chord, which goes to major. It's like almost a modulation happens here, and then it goes to minor chord again, so it's very cool. And the whole vibe, people in chat also say that it's really vibey, like it's night city, and maybe you're walking in the night city at 2 a.m. and I think this track presents this vibe very well. And, overall it sounds very, very cool to me, and I really like
it's good when stuff. It's good when stuff tells a story.
Right.
You know? I feel like that's something that I feel like a lot of chill artists maybe get wrong, is they're just trying to make, you know, super chill emotional stuff, dude. But it doesn't necessarily, you know, relate to anything. It doesn't represent an experience. It's just like, you know, dude, I got this respace, and dude, I got these 16th shuffle hats, and it's so chill, man. That's boring.
Weirdjack said that it was his first
This
release.
is his first.
Actually.
This is
Wow.
his first
Is it
track.
your first
So
release?
I'm gonna say, like, I'm not sure if this is your first release just as Weirdjack, or if this is like genuinely like a first attempt in general to put that out there for the public. But if this is your first release, then I'm super stoked to see what you come out with as your progression comes on, because that was a pretty good first start, I think.
Yeah, my music was garbage for like 10 years, so good work.
All right.
Yeah, that was really cool. So does anybody have any questions for Cameron?
Yeah, did we have any new questions in
Do you
chat?
have any new questions for Cameron? So while we're waiting for maybe some questions to drop, I just want to go back and kind of do a little plug for your wifey here, because, and I told you this, but, you know, in Venus Theory's earlier music, he and his wife, they did a lot of music together. It was more, I feel like, kind of rock maybe based, you know, sounds, and her vocals are so powerful and so beautiful. Like, they just, the tone of them, oh my goodness. Like, when I discovered it was your wife, I was like, good night, that girl. And I hope she's watching, so she, like, hint, if you want to get back into singing again. I kind of have a little vocal crush on her now, so, you know, just saying.
She's out there baking cookies or something, so maybe she's watching. I don't know. I'm waiting for her to like troll me in the chat. Like, you sound dumb. Is that even your real voice?
Is she doing this on your streams?
Maybe she is trolling us, and she's pretending to be fellow Scorpio, and she's logged into his account. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no.
She's like, fellow, let me log in and troll Cameron.
Yeah, she's got a ridiculous voice too. It's a nightmare to record, because you've really got to set the levels right, because she's very loud. So, you know, there's a lot of work that went into stuff that we were doing together, because, you know, she's got a big dynamic range too. Like, she's got some more mellow vocals, but then, you know, like you said, when she really gets after it, it's very like big rock voice. So every song that we did, it was like recording in lots of little pieces, where it's like we would record parts of the verse, and then, you know, I have to reset my levels and change things. And, you know, in some cases I'd even change microphones. to get like the, you know, the chorus to sound right or something, because she would belt out some note that was like super, you know, big and loud that at condenser mics just wouldn't translate it well. It would just start to distort.
Yeah. That's one thing you like about recording yourself, at least that I've, you know, experienced myself. And I just have a tiny little audio box 96, like nothing fancy, right? But I can't really actively like gain while I'm singing. So I feel like I'm constantly like trying to create space to kind of do that. But at the same time, like creating that space obviously creates space, and it kind of causes the tonality to be a little different. And I find that kind of frustrating. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Vocal engineering is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I remember that too. Like when I worked in studios and stuff, it was just like always sucked to get the vocal set up, because it's like I got to try a bunch of different mics and I got to listen to them sing into each of them and figure out like which one's going to work and why. And then, yeah, you know, sometimes you do have to like ride the fader as you sing, because, you know, you got to go into this next part, and to get the performance right, you have to do it in one take. It just doesn't feel right otherwise. So it's like then you got to, middle of singing, you got to like reach over and turn your stuff down, and then go right back up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Like haven't found a way that I'm able to really do that actively and feel like I'm still like focused on singing. So
yeah,
that's something that's a personal issue. But anyway, Andy would like to know, he said, I don't feel like I've seen many remixes in the chill world. Would you do remixes, and what are your thoughts on them?
I don't really do remixes, and it's not something I'd be interested in, just because it's like I want to do my own work. I don't want to do something someone else already did. But yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of remixes in general in the whole scene, and I don't know, maybe that's just due to like lack of collaborations or what. But I feel like a lot of, you know, chill producers too, they kind of come up from obscurity randomly. So it's like, I feel like it's harder to network, you know, because like you start off really small and then you get this big feature and then you've got a following all of a sudden. But then, you know, then there's this new producer and whatever. And there's not like, you know, these big collectives or anything like some of the other music scenes, you know, where there's like, you know, D&B forums and, you know, producer collectives and whatever, where then you get a lot of remixes and edits and whatever. Whereas here it's just a lot of people doing their own individual thing, I feel like. So I don't know. And then it's like, I feel like the chill music scene is all about, though, it's all about that vibe or whatever. So trying to, I don't know, keep that vibe that someone else made, I feel like would probably be hard to, you know, I feel like that might get kind of lost in translation, where you end up coming out with something completely different. Yeah.
So I will say that actually when Anna and I decided to kind of do SGM, that was kind of what we wanted for the community, was like a place where everybody could kind of come together. Like you didn't have to just be like, oh, we do chill stuff. Okay, we do chill out. We do ambient. It's like, well, why don't, you know, all these EDM groups have like these huge communities where they kind of can pool together and feed off of each other. It's like, well, why can't we do that with chill music? You know, why can't chill artists all come together and kind of, you know, hear what each other has to do, you know, what we're all presenting. And actually, Anna, we've done a couple of remix competitions, and Anna's last one was absolute fire. I do have to say, like, we had some absolutely incredible remixes.
Yeah, I saw on her channel there was like 100 remixes of like one song.
Oh my goodness. It was that. So it was her song, Wander, which is an incredible song anyway. If you've never heard it, it's absolutely beautiful. But her remix competition was so fantastic. Like, and I personally loved it because we got so many different takes on it. Like, and I like that. That's what I like about remixes personally, is that like you can take a song like Anna's, and actually the winner of her competition ended up being like a trap song, which was really cool because it was like chill trap, and like her song is nothing like that, but it just worked and it was really cool, you know. So
yeah, it was very cool to pick you know, absolutely different styles of remixes. It was like, it's just it was awesome. I mean, I understood at those times that remixes can be done on anything and in any genre. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So Cameron, what do you think about chill music overall, like genre? So what do you think? Does it have some big future? Like EDM has had
could
before?
it if we could get it just right, could it, like, you know?
What do you think
I feel like
about
there's a I don't know, there's a sense of commercialism that has to take place. I mean, you know, you have to have this broader appeal, and I feel like with chill music the struggle would be that it's such a wide umbrella, you know. And I feel like it's a lot of the times
Probably,
it's that niche thing, and it's that one subset micro genre that takes off because everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon and freak out about it because it's the new hot thing that all the kids are doing or whatever. But, you know, I feel like it would just be a matter of, you know, kind of like what you said you are trying to do with SGM. I think it's just a matter of getting producers together to push something forward, because right now I feel like it's a lot of individual movements, and what propels a lot of those other things forward is more of an established group of people trying to push something, you know, kind of like the YouTube ambient modular community. There's tons of people putting out videos of modular synths doing random loops, and like Future Garage is probably the best example of like a successful chill, you know, genre sort of taking off a little bit, even though it never really got quite up there, you know, with some of the other things. But yeah, I think it would just be a matter of kind of collecting things together and trying to push things forward. But again, it's hard to do because there's so many little differences and nuances, and people love to fight about that stuff.
Right. Well, and I think too that maybe part of it also is that, like you said, I mean, big EDM feels more commercial. And I feel like in a lot of the chill communities, not to say that they can't ever feel commercial or feel samey in some way, depending on the style, but I feel like they were kind of born out of this like underground, like kind of defiant, like I want to do something cool with beats but different, like I don't want to sound commercial, you know. It's kind of like that intentional, like I want to sound good but I don't want to sound like, because I've seen that too, like even on like, you know, Submit Hub or anything like that, you know, where people will be like, oh, if this just sounded more commercial, and you're like, but that's kind of the point, like you don't necessarily want to sound commercial, you want to sound different, you want to sound unique, you know. And
I think that's a big thing, is it's like, yeah, everyone wants the same thing, and I feel like that's kind of a downside to the whole Future Garage scene anymore. A lot of the time, some of it really starts to blur together because, you know, there's a couple artists who got a bit bigger, so everyone's trying to do that.
Yeah.
And exactly like you said, the strength of it is that it is this antithesis to commercial garbage, four on the floor, you know, same five things over and over that everyone does. Because, you know, that's fun, and there's certainly a place for it, but it's just a lot of the times not all that interesting. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I get that. I will say sometimes music like that's really nice to work out to, though.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is it's like, you know, if you're just having fun and dancing and whatever, you know, a big annoying dubstep track, sure, why not?
Right.
But like, if you're trying to make an artistic statement, a lot of the times that doesn't come across when something's just going blah, blah, you know, it just sounds a bit garish and stupid.
Yeah. So Sticky Rice has a question. He says, as a musician, what do your neighbors complain? Like,
not really, because I make a point to not have neighbors, and you know and you know, I've got big heavy acoustic panels and lots of stuff in here, and I make sure that things are set up in a way to where I'm not blaring out to anybody. I used to live in an apartment though, and every once in a while we would have a neighbor who would complain, but you know, I also make an effort to not be blasting super deep sub bass at 3 a.m. You know, usually by like 9 or 10 o'clock at night I'll just switch to headphones. You know,
that makes sense. I mean, and that's
you're just too. Yeah, and that's the thing. Otherwise, you're just kind of being a jerk. It's like, you know, like the stupid teenagers playing music in their car in the parking lot at 2 a.m. It's loud and annoying, and I don't want to do that to people.
Yeah, I did that when I was a teenager. I was dumb. Everyone, forgive me. So, fellow Scorpio wants to know when your next PlayStation Core track is coming out.
I don't know. I got to do that again at some point because that was fun. I made up my own weird micro genre called PlayStation Core, and I don't really know that there were any rules to it. I just made it up as I went. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that again. It was kind of fun to do, almost like a lo-fi thing. I don't know. That was just very like nostalgia heavy, but yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll put that back together at some point because that was kind of fun. First, I got to do another DJ Grumpy Gills track though, because those are awful.
Aerohead wanted to know about you moving away from Chicago because you're getting ready to move.
Getting ready to move. I don't live anywhere near Chicago, unfortunately. I used to live in Rockford, though, which is about an hour west of Chicago. Currently, I live down in the middle of Illinois, but then we're moving probably around the end of next month. So getting ready to move again, which will be great because I've got a big giant studio space in our new house, which will be awesome because right now I have a bunch of synthesizers and I have nowhere to put them. I have to unplug them and like put them on the floor and then pick up another one and then plug it in and use that, and then I got to unplug it and then pick up the other one. It's kind of horrible to work with right now.
How many of them you have total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hardware synths right now. 2 MIDI controllers, well 3 MIDI controllers, and then a couple preamps, two tape recorders, and then a bunch of recording stuff in my gear closet. I couldn't name it if I wanted to. I have way too much stuff. Like it, and that's the thing is nice, like you don't need. Yeah, you don't need 98% of this to make music. So it's not like having gear is what makes or breaks good music. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, I see something and I'm like, ooh, that looks neat.
You're like Xavion, but he's like that with plugins. He's a plugin hoarder. We always tease him about that.
Luckily now, though, ever since my YouTube channel got a bit bigger, I get plugins sent to me all the time. And, like, I'll get synthesizers sent to me and whatever. So now I don't have to hide it from my wife. Because, it used to be I had to pull out a microphone and she's like, where'd you get that? I'm like, this old thing? I've had this for years. What are you talking about?
She's like, sure, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's
all right, gonna go into our next song.
Mm-hmm. All right, so while you guys maybe prepare some other questions, shoot them in chat. So we will listen. The next one is from Wheel44, and the track name is Oblivion. We also did not feature this artist before, so actually I always happy to find some new artists, new names for our show. It's so amazing. Let's listen. Cameron, what do you think?
Man, that kick drum hits you right in the jiggly bits, doesn't it? Wow, that was loud.
Right.
That was loud. It was kind of cool though. It was very aggressive. I liked I don't know, there was a part in there earlier. There was a really interesting, like, plucky synth somewhere in the beginning that was kind of neat. But I liked the evolution to it, where it was kind of new sounds being introduced and progressing, and it wasn't like, here's the A drop, and then I'm going to copy and paste that, and now here's the B drop, where it's like the same thing. Yeah, I liked the changes to it. It was kind of interesting, and it was a cool blend of, like, sort of ambient, like, trap and R&B, kind of like The Weeknd or, Black, maybe. But it had kind of that, I don't know, future chill vibe going on, kind of like the what's his name, Tim Schaufert, right?
Yeah, that actually, yeah, I could see that totally.
It sort of reminded me of that, where it blends kind of these trap aesthetics with like an ambient-esque underlay to it. So that was kind of interesting. I just can't get over that kick. That was so loud.
Yeah.
It was cool though.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I like kind of what you were saying about the blend of genres here. Lazarus Moment said that it was like multi-dimensional, like hypersensory, almost like cyber and tribal, but psychedelic and atmospheric. Like it all kind of had its own little thing kind of going on, but just like mushed together. Like, I don't know, it was really cool.
Yeah, I agree that there is a blend of genres. It's he put like ambient here, but of course it's not only ambient here. It's I can hear some future chill and yes, I also like this supple vocal on the background. It's like you almost do not hear it, but it's there, and it just...
But it kind of came more forward at the end, though, didn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it adds this, tiny layer in like atmosphere. I really loved this touch. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. All right, we did have a question during that song. This was from fellow Scorpio. He said, Skrillex said that the only two plugins he'll ever need for producing are FabFilter's Pro Q3 and Pro L2. What are a few plugins that you absolutely cannot live without?
I think synth plugins, Parawave Rapid. I love Rapid. Dune 3. I use a lot of Dune 3 again now. My hardware stuff, I use that, but that's not really a plugin. And then I guess mixing-wise, Vintage Warmer, but everyone needs Vintage Warmer because it's like the best plugin ever made. It just makes everything sound better. And
Vintage Warmer?
Yeah, PSP Vintage Warmer. Absolutely got to own that thing. Every single session I've done, I have Vintage Warmer on it.
Okay.
And their PSP Master Comp, too. Those are two of my favorite mastering tools. And then their Master Q. That's my mastering EQ I use all the time. And like every single session, literally, it's always those three plugins and then maybe a couple other ones here or there. And then just a good reverb, I think. Or good reverb goes a long way. Just to getting things, to sound more spacious and whatever. Because I feel like a lot of plugins have a built-in reverb. But the difference between like a built-in reverb or like your DAW's stock reverb versus like a really nice proper reverb plugin is just night and day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go. Vintage Warmer. Yep, exactly.
They know you. They know you. You're the jam,
I mean, I do the same things over and over and over. It's really not hard. I use the same 5 plugins. Here's some minor chords. Here's some reverb. Done. Venus Theory, stamp of approval. Nailed it.
That's funny. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and go into the next one while we're kind of on a roll here, unless we have any more questions pop up. The next one we have tonight is moving into a little bit more of a pickup direction. Mm-hmm. Still very chill. This is Sam Tahmid and LuMoz. We have not featured LuMoz before, but we have featured Sam Tahmid a few episodes ago. And this is their new song together, Don't Let Me Drown.
All right. The ending is super cool. I mean, I like this vocal in the end.
I do like the little vocal chop.
So what do you think?
Oh,
We'll let Cameron go. Yeah, he's our guest, so he's got the spotlight tonight.
It was a cool track. It reminds me a lot of the last one where it kind of had those same, trap-esque things going on. I was waiting though when like the drop came in and I heard the first snare, I was like for a second I was like, is that the chop snare? And I was like, that's producer jail. Instant ban, no. But no, it was not the chop snare. So I'm happy it wasn't a chop snare because that drives me insane when I hear that. No, that was a really, really cool track. And I liked that it was a bit more, I don't know, not so just like morose and sad and slow and whatever. It was an interesting take. I like though that it's the Subnautica feels as like the subtitle.
Yeah.
So I was half expecting those like Major League Gaming air horns to pop in, Subnautica, bwee, bwee, bwee!
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to like a super heavy dubstep drop for no reason. I was hoping it was lulling you into a false sense of security, and it was actually like a troll track where it just cuts to like super aggressive bro step or something.
Well, we've actually come across those before too, and
those are the best though.
They can throw you for a loop. I loved the little vocal chops in that song. I feel like that was kind of like that extra little something in that kind of made it really even cooler. I mean, it had like a really nice progression. It was very like cool and chill and kind of flowing along, but then like those little vocal chops come in and they kind of peek out and you're like, ooh, it's like little bits of ear candy. I don't know. I really liked that a lot.
It was really smooth overall. Like everything just blended together really, really well.
Yes, I agree that it's very smooth and it's very chill. It's like chill step, I would say. So,
yeah.
Chill. It's a new subgenre. Chill
yes.
step. It's two ice cube emojis. Yeah, chill step.
Okay. And did you answer the questions in the chat about the reverb? Is that what you were listing, like your reverbs? Somebody had asked like what your favorite like reverb VSTs are, if you have any. Like,
Pete Kowalski and Owl, I don't know.
Owl,
I went to public school. I can't help it.
Right?
Let's see. Super washy reverbs. Cloud Seed, which is free, but it's Windows only. Valhalla Supermassive is great. It's free as well. Baby Audio Spaced Out, I use a lot. It's only, I think it's $69 or so it's not crazy expensive. Arteria has the Rev Intensity, which is a really good, just ultra washy reverb. What's another good one? I don't know, there's so many that are fun. Oral River is a free one. It's not as good for like, epic washy reverbs, but it's a good kind of long reverb to put some vocals in or something. And then making your own reverbs. A really easy way is like if you have a convolution reverb, you can take like some white noise and apply some effects to it, and then put that into a convolution reverb to design your own reverb from, and you can get some really interesting textures.
That's a really cool idea. Do you like parallel that with something, or is that like you're using that?
That is the reverb. So
that's really cool.
Convolution. So your typical reverbs that a lot of DAWs come with and whatever are what's known as a algorithmic reverb, where it is coded as an algorithm. It's typically a set of all-pass filters and delays. So a reverb is actually just a lot of delays. They just feed back into each other, and if you add enough of them, it emulates all of the small reflections of the physical propagation of sound in a room. If we clap our hands, it's going to go to that wall, the ceiling, the floor, but then it's going to ping back into all the other walls. So that's how a reverb works. It's just a bunch of little delays. So we program that. That's a algorithmic reverb. Out comes some big washy thing. Hooray us. Now we've got sad ambient music. Just add minor chords. But a convolution reverb uses what's called an impulse response, where it's a recording, like an actual sound file. And this can be anything, and that's the fascinating idea. So in your bedroom, for example, you could clap your hands and record that, and then take that sample into that reverb, and it will make it sound like it was recorded in your room, which is really, really cool. but you can use whatever you want. So taking like, one of my favorites is like recording rain or recording like walking in the woods. So you'll have kind of these little details, but it almost imparts the characteristics of the recording onto the sound. So if I'm walking through the woods, we hear all these crispy sounds, right? Because we're breaking leaves and whatever, but then there's like the thud of your feet, there's the low rumble of the wind. So in that case, it would add a lot of sparkle to the sound because there's so much crispy detail going on. So you get a very bright reverb, but as it's a long form recording, that means that determines the length of the reverb. So if it's a 30-second file, you get these epically long reverbs that just change and evolve based on the file you put into them. So that's a really fun way to make some super wild stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, Fellow was just telling us that you actually have one of your videos you kind of talk about that. So I might
I have a video showing like how to do that.
I might have to go check that out. It's like always learning. That's very, very cool.
I have a related question about reverbs. Because I am myself guilty, I love reverbs so much. I mean, Cameron, do you have any tip for how to do mix better when you have, especially it's for ambient stuff, when you have lots of reverbs going on in the mix, you know? And I found it myself, it's very difficult to mix in the end when you like just it's just one of those... everything is just, you know, sounds terrible already. So do you have any like special tip how to do it better? I mean, for the
it's
mix.
Funny because it's one of those things where you do that a lot because you start a song and then you're like, you know what this needs? Just a little bit of reverb, and then you add another sound, and you're like, you know what would make this sound really cool is like a little bit of reverb, and then you get your drums going, and you're like, yeah, something's missing here. You know what these drums could use? A little bit of reverb, and then you got like, next thing you know, you've got like 14 pads with like 60-second reverbs, and it's just stupid. But one of the big things I think people overlook a lot is that most every reverb comes with built-in filters. So it'll have a high pass and a low pass, and some will even have it pre-reverb and post-reverb.
Yes.
So one of the big things is learning to use those filters to dial in the reverb to where it needs to be. So for instance, if I'm adding a pad that's kind of a bright top layer, if I'm adding a full range reverb, I'm going to get this kind of gunky buildup in the mids and the low end where I'm just, you know, there's this low, and it's not prominent, but there's a very low level, you know, going on that you can't hear it, but it is there. Now, if you stack that up across 15 different tracks, that contributes to this very high noise floor that's going to eat up your headroom, and it's going to make things sound, you know, it's going to feel muddy, but you're not going to know why. So filtering the reverb is a big thing, and also just using EQ after the reverb as well, because a reverb is going to have a certain tone to it. You know, some reverbs are very bright, some reverbs are very, you know, kind of milky, mid-rangey. Some reverbs are very mellow and warm sounding. So you usually got to put an EQ after and clean up what you don't need. So I always ask myself when I'm mixing, what is this track doing? You know, what am I trying to accomplish here? If it's the bass, for instance, that's usually easy. The bass is going to give me low end. So therefore, I need to factor in that no other sound should be interfering with that. So I'm going to cut out the super low stuff from just about everything. And, you know, when I'm doing my reverbs and I've got these really long reverbs, I got to ask myself, this really long reverb, what is it trying to do? Is it trying to fill some mid-range? Is it trying to fill some top end? So you've got to just be very selective about, you know, why you're adding reverb. And that, just don't use ultra long reverbs all the time. You can use a few of them, but if you've got like 10 of them, then yeah, Anna, as you mentioned, you're just like, okay, this is really impossible to mix now because there's just this wall of sound the whole time.
Yeah. So the main tip is to keep in mind all this low end, high end, and mids.
Yeah, it's got to be a very conscious effort. You have to always ask yourself, what am I trying to solve here?
I see.
You know, because you can add reverb for fun. But I think you have to ask yourself before you add the reverb, does this need reverb, and what is it I'm trying to do with this reverb? Am I trying to make this sound feel bigger? And if so, is there another way to accomplish that that might be better? But yeah, always keep in mind, you got to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. Like, how is this choice going to impact the rest of everything? Otherwise, you end up with 15 reverbs, and it's very hard to deal with.
Yeah, I like what Emina said too, because I think this is kind of what we're talking about, is like busing your reverb so that you can EQ those, like, basically it's like you're mixing the sounds with the reverb, but then you want to almost mix the reverbs in their own, like, it's like almost like a separate, like, okay, let's look at the spectrum and now mix the reverbs, to fit. So that makes, it's obviously more work, but if it works, then you want to.
Yeah.
I'm still learning all of this, so this is like super cool to me.
Me too.
And then, asking yourself what reverb you want to use, because every reverb is different. So, try out a few, see which one does what you're looking for, and then make sure you're doing it with intention and not just adding reverb for the sake of adding reverb.
Right. That totally makes sense. I think since we're kind of wrapping up our reverb talk, we'll go ahead and go into our next track.
Welcome to our TED Talk on reverb.
I think we could sit here and just chat all night because we're all so chatty. I just like to talk. And we like to share.
Now comes the part where we all sit here silently bobbing our heads.
But it looks cool, and anyway. So the next song we actually have for tonight is by Aerohead. He is a friend of ours that we have also shared his music a couple of different times. This is actually something a little different that he doesn't usually make this style. And it is more like an interesting kind of experimental trappy style. Still chill, but still a little heavier. So it was very, very cool. So we figured we'd share it tonight.
Bring it on.
Just to see, we like to mix things up and give a variety. So
okay, this
better have air horns in it.
Okay, this is Aerohead, Breaking Even. Let's listen. Cameron.
The Metal Gear Solid sound killed me. That was great. No, this is really cool.
Fun.
No, I like how energetic this one is. You know, it's got a I don't know, very like in your face energy without being overly like aggressive and stupid about it. But really love the mix too. It was really, really well done. And the percussion was great.
Yeah, totally agree. I felt like that felt clean, and like you said, it was interesting, and it had like really cool elements, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't like that over the top, almost like becoming cheesy. Like this worked, it flowed.
Yeah, it's walking a very fine line between like, all right, okay, versus like, okay, I get it. LOL, friend.
Yeah. Oh no, see, he says, I promise I don't normally make music. Like, no, this is very different for him. Usually, Aerohead makes very like more almost like chill step style music. I mean, he kind of, branches out into other chill genres, but this was just so cool. I wanted to share this one because this is different for him, and I really did like the sound of it together. It was very cool.
Yeah, I think Aerohead, actually, I think it was very cool experiment, and you should do more on this vein. I mean, I really liked it.
No, it was great because it's different, and I think that's the hard thing to distinguish yourself with as an artist is what are you bringing to this, and if you can find that voice and that shtick and that unique factor, that's what you have to push, or else, you're going to be stuck sitting there going like, oh, I wish I made music like this or whatever, and there's not a whole lot of a point in doing that. Right.
No, that was very cool. Thank you, Aerohead, for such a cool song. Oscuro has a question for Cameron. He says, any tips on time management and productivity?
A lot of caffeine, mostly. Well, in my time on the set of Pirates of the Caribbean when we were shooting that, one of the things that really helped me a lot is Trello. So Trello is a free app/browser software. So I use Trello all the time just to keep a list of what I've got going on, what I need to finish. Obviously, my Google Calendar and whatever, because my Google Assistant tells me when I'm doing stuff, because I never have any idea what's going on. But yeah, Trello is a really, really useful tool just to get a list of stuff together and organize everything and, make checklists, and this is what I have to do. I need to contact this person. I got to follow up here. Using your calendar is a big thing. And then, just good old pen and paper and whatever. I have my whiteboard back there that's got my, like, dailies on it. And then I burned through notebooks like none other. So I always have, just a notebook next to me on my desk where I can just write down, like, call this person, do this, don't forget to do this. Your snare still sucks, you should fix that. Stuff like that. The mix is dumb, give up. Well, you're ahead. But yeah, Trello is probably the big one for me. And yeah, Scorpio mentioned for productivity, close Discord. That's a big thing, is like, I naturally, I think I'm okay with that though, because like I'm not a big social media person. I really don't care for it, which is like really ironic since I became like a YouTuber where I kind of have to use that stuff, but I really don't like it. But yeah, I mean, just turning off your phone, muting your Slack or Discord or Skype or whatever kids use now, I think that's a big thing, is just learning to actually focus and have a mindset of intention to, get things done that day. Because it's very easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, I'm going to go play with this for 20 minutes, or oh, I'm going to go do this, or oh, I want to do this. It's really about sitting down, disabling distractions, and just getting stuff done. Because I think once you learn to dial in that focus, you'll get a lot more accomplished than you think you would otherwise.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I'm kind of the opposite. I like to be very socially active online. So
I saw you describe yourself as a social butterfly.
A social butterfly. That's totally me. But like, so when I'm working on music, that's exactly what I have to do. Like I mean, as much as I love interacting socially, I have to close all of it down, because I saw it recently on a meme, like the back of a shirt that said, don't talk to me, or I won't get anything done for 2 hours. Because it's like, if something pops up, it's like my brain, I'll just be like, oh yeah, and then like kind of, and then you're like, no, I need to work on music, but then this thing, you know, and
but sometimes, you know, Michelle, there is a dishes in the sink, you know.
Don't even start the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a Daniel Thrasher joke. We love his
joke about
videos too. Yeah.
So related. Yeah.
Like that thing, you know, where it's like that one important thing, but you keep like procrastinating getting it done. So, but yeah, I think that's great advice. Like really like shutting distractions out, because that's the biggest thing, I think.
That and get the hard stuff done first. That's
and then
another
the time
big one.
management. I really like what Eminus said too, where he was talking about like even within your DAW, like when you open your DAW, like already kind of having like a project template, so you're not, you know, like you're already kind of at least in a starting position, like ready to go, you know. And
I feel like you got to be careful with that though, because then sometimes you end up making the same song 100 different ways. You know, if you've got the same bass preset and the same like go-to drum rack, you know, you gotta carefully manage your DAW templates. But I think it is a good thing to do for sure, just so you don't lose inspiration, because that's something I think that is a very big thing. Is like you get an idea at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So if you get up and you want to record it, you have to set up all the boring stuff in your DAW, and that takes forever. And by the time it's all set up and ready to go, you you lost that vibe, or you lost that idea, or now you're mad because, you know, Pro Tools crashed or whatever. So you're just like, never mind, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. So Eminus wants to know how old you are.
27 right now. I carved the Grand Canyon myself by hand. Rode my dinosaur to school uphill both ways. I remember painting the world when it was in black and white, when the color television came out, and the motor car.
Do you hear that, Eminus? He called you old too. I'm pretty sure Eminus is the same age as you, so I had to tease him.
Yeah, I mean, when those motor cars started coming out and we had to trade in our horses for buggies, that was a trip, man.
I mean, Anna and I were there with the dinosaurs, so, you know, we're good.
Well, now everyone's about these rectangles, and I suppose these are hip right now.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're going to be trading in our Walkmans for these newfangled CDs.
I mean, I thought I had something cool with Discman, right?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Remember that though? Yeah, like your favorite CD.
Are you 30
and
now?
Like,
I guess I didn't realize that you got even older every year.
Yeah, but like walking with your Discman or whatever, and like carefully walking to make it not skip. I remember that. It was so.
Because you'd be like walking, and then all of a sudden, like you'd step too hard, and it'd be like, and then you're like, oh, and then you have to like take it out of your pocket and like open it and shut it again. Oh, it's just a mess.
Yeah, we go back to the start of the song because like you skipped my favorite part.
Okay, guys. Will Joseph also have a question? What hardware synth is your favorite?
For the hardware synth collector in him.
I don't know. I use my Novation Peak a lot, and I really, really like the sound of that. The Blofeld, though, I feel like the Blofeld is such a hard synth to beat, because it's only, it's under $400 used. You can find the desktop version, and that is a powerful, powerful synthesizer for like it does more than some plugins do, which is crazy to me. For the price of like a relatively premium plugin, you can get a ridiculous piece of hardware. Some people love the sound of it, some people hate it. I fall into the camp of like I really like it, but yeah, the Blofeld and the Novation Peak. But I just got the modal Cobalt 8M sent to me today. It just arrived, and I have a feeling that one's going to creep up on me. I really like the sound of that thing so far, which is surprising because it's a virtual analog synth, and I thought a digital virtual analog synth would sound weak, because analog synths just have this big meaty, thunderous roar to them, but that one sounds pretty good, and it's not that expensive. But yeah, probably between the Peak and the Blofeld, just depending on what I'm trying to do. Because,
nice.
like reverb, every synth is different. Some are good for basses, some are good for, leads and pads and whatnot. Yeah. Mostly I just like reverb, any synth with reverb sounds good.
we all reverb fans in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing, though. I make a sound, and then I'm like, all right, cool, and then drown it out in this ridiculously long reverb. So the sound I made doesn't even matter anymore. Like, you could fart and do a good reverb and be like, that sounds amazing.
Like, wow, that was incredible.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I feel like no matter what it is, I end up just drowning it in reverb anyway.
I remember some famous hip hop artists in Russia. They did whole track from fart. Really, I need to because my husband told me that just recently. I need to find out who exactly. So I will just link you up. So I need to check it out. But yeah, it's happening. I mean.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
The stuff people will do. But yeah, speaking of reverb, okay, so our next song is going to have plenty in it. Yeah, our next song is by Ken Verheeke, and we featured him once before quite a while ago, but this is an absolutely beautiful, true ambient track. I think you guys are really going to like this. For all you ambient lovers, I think Ken's track is really beautiful. He just released it today. So
I did not listen to it yet as well because
you'll love it.
Just put.
And speaking of old school, he titled it 1969. So yay!
Okay, nice.
It was a good year. I remember that one.
All right, let's listen. Really ambient. I'm wondering, the title 1969, it's connected with some year that has some meaning for Ken? Do you know?
That's my understanding because I had actually messaged Ken about it because he let me preview it for today because I had already added it to our list before he dropped it. And I'm pretty sure that it was like a significant event in his life, like something had happened in that year. And this was something that was like taking him back to that moment. So it was like special for him in that way. So he just wanted to title it that year. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes. And I really like this atmosphere and how it's done. Mm-hmm. And actually the cover art is pretty cool as well. So, yeah. Cameron, what do you think about this?
I really like the use of kind of texture to it, where, you know, there was like some strings and stuff, but it wasn't necessarily a string part. It was more about kind of the flavor that the strings add to the, you know, kind of droning interweaving bits. You know, there's kind of this airy grittiness to them, and then there's kind of that, you know, spacey, dry sound to everything. And good reverb.
Yeah.
Actually, very well done.
I really like, just the overall use of kind of textures and stuff, but it wasn't messy, and I feel like that's probably one of the harder things to get right with this kind of stuff is, you know, you have these long droning elements and you just end up kind of with this mud ball of like stuff. But this was, for as expansive as it was, it still felt very clean, and you could pick out little things in it, which I think really is what makes stuff like this enjoyable to listen to, is you're kind of, you know, you're going on this journey to some extent, but at the same time you're kind of finding little interesting things along the way, you know.
Yeah. And I like how he used almost like, it almost felt like a synth, but maybe it was like a percussion that had been kind of verbed out, but it, you know, like that, just that nice little like slow kind of like beat, but it was more like a beat almost like with a synth, you know, like it was really cool because there was nothing necessarily like tinkly or percussive in that way, but I think it just added like that another little something of movement. It was very subtle, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was kind of a pulsing going on into it, which is interesting. I did like that. Then that drop hit and that bass was so sick, dude.
Hey, it could have been. You never know. You know, ambient trap. You never know. It could be a thing.
Yeah, that's all I want, is just like a mix of really beautiful music that's just total garbage in just unexpectedly. Like I want music to take that hard left where it's like, I hate this so much. Thank you.
I think, like I said, I think Anna and I've run into a couple of those before, but usually they're troll like remix submissions or something. Where...
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, imagine this, but then it cuts into like a dubstep remix of the intro to The Office. Like that's what I want, is a collage of trash. I think that's amazing. But no, that was a really, really cool track. I'll have to check out more of Ken's stuff for sure.
Yeah, he has some really nice stuff. Some of it's just like really nice guitar solo music. Some of it is ambient. He does kind of like a pretty wide range of things. And it's all relatively chill, though, which I really like about his stuff. Yeah,
what is it, chill step?
It might be chill. I don't know. It's pretty chill. Double chill.
So do we have any questions?
Well, I might have some questions, but they're probably not music related right now. I did it to wander, so why not? All right, ready? Coke or Pepsi?
Coke or Pepsi? I don't know. I feel like both of them kind of tear my insides up after a while.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I kind of like got out of drinking soda for a bit, so now anytime I do drink it, I feel like I'm just drinking syrup. But I guess probably I would go with Coke. I'm pretty boring that way.
Okay.
You know.
All right. No.
But,
cool. High five. No Pete. No Pete. Coke.
There was one Diet Coke that I really liked, and I don't think they make it anymore. It was like ginger lime or something, and it was part of like this limited series they did. And they had another one called Spicy Cherry, and it was weird, and it was super. It like, I don't know, like, you know when you eat, like, I don't know, maybe a piece of steak or something that has a lot of pepper to it, and it kind of like burns your throat?
Yeah.
It was that, but it was in Coke. It was really bizarre. It was like it was a cherry Coke that burned. And at first I hated it, but then I was like, I don't know why, but I'm kind of addicted to this now.
You're like, now I love it. It's an addiction. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and Coke Life, if anyone's ever had that. I don't think they make that one anymore either. It was in a green can, and it was really good.
I don't remember that one.
It was like natural sugar. Coke girl
usually, so yeah.
It was like a natural sugar Coke.
I'll just rot my insides the old-fashioned way, just regular Coke. Okay.
Well, here's a question for you then, though. If you're in Indiana, so around here, everyone calls it soda. What do you call it in Indiana? Is it pop, or is everything a Coke, or?
It depends. Some people say pop because we're kind of getting up north a little bit. I know up in Michigan, it's usually pop, I think. But I grew up near Atlanta, so it's Coke.
Everything's a Coke down south.
And actually, if you like Pepsi in Georgia, it's pretty much blasphemous. So, just saying, since that's where Coke originated.
Yeah. That would be funny because there's the Coca-Cola Museum, right?
Yes, yeah.
Have you ever gone in there and ordered a Pepsi? Because I feel like that would be hilarious to do. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure everyone's done that. It's not an original joke, but
I have not. But I will say that the Coca-Cola Museum is super cool because you can try like some of their Coke products from all over the world, and I highly recommend skipping the Beverly. It will make you want to gag and. So
isn't that it's an Italian soda?
Yes, it's an Italian soda.
Yeah.
They use it they use it like in an aperitif, which is kind of like, like a
it's like
drink.
I know it's like a weird
but
thing.
No, it tastes like this nasty cough syrup. Like don't even
It's carbonated cough syrup mixed with a bit of cat vomit for to get your palate going for dinner.
Yes. So Oscuro actually had a serious question. He said, "Is there anything that you miss from Cubase now that you're a Bitwig user?"
Oh man, I kind of like the mixing flow in Cubase better. But I come from a background of working on a mixing console and stuff, so that's kind of how my brain works. Is I like a channel strip, and I like things to be organized that way. So I like the mixing flow in Cubase. Cubase has a really, really good MIDI editor too, so that was kind of interesting. And then some of the plugins. I mean, Cubase has some really, really good stock plugins that are kind of hard to beat, and then it's got a really nice built-in library of samples and sounds, especially the new version. There's gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of samples, and then you can put them in the drum rack and manipulate them into a billion pieces and make all sorts of fun stuff. But I don't know, to me in the end a DAW is just kind of a tape machine, so I want to use whatever facilitates what I'm trying to do, and I just try and look for the path of least resistance. And currently that's Bitwig, but there is still some stuff that Cubase does, or the way it handles things, that I kind of jump back into that for, or I might jump into Audacity to do something, or use some more exotic audio editor if I'm trying to do something else. All that matters is a good reverb. It's like rule number 7 of life. Be a good person, don't kill people, have a good reverb. That's not necessarily in that order. Maybe reverb is higher on the list. I don't know.
Okay, you switched to Bitwig a week ago because of Venus Theory. Oh,
all right. I'm preaching the gospel now. Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing I like about Bitwig is a lot of younger producers use Ableton and FL. Because what do you guys use? What do you use, Anna?
We both use Logic.
We both use Logic.
Logic. Okay, interesting.
Why it's interesting?
Interesting. I never quite got along with Logic, and I always had this kind of running gag that Logic to me was just the most illogical DAW. It did certain things in such a weird way that I hated it. But I came from the background of Pro Tools because that's what studios use is Pro Tools or Cubase. So it was kind of you have to learn one of these two things or both. But Logic's got some fantastic instruments too, and space designers.
They really do. I mean, especially. I feel like a starting library, what comes with Logic is actually really great. I was surprised pleasantly.
I think Logic and Reason definitely have the best built-in library of instruments and sounds. But I think that's because they're both so established, they've been around for so long. And Cubase, Cubase has been around so long that by now it just comes with, everything that's culminated over the past 20 years or whatever. But yeah, it's funny because a lot of younger producers use FL and Ableton, and I'm such a boomer that I can't understand those. I just don't get it. And as many times as I've tried to use FL, it doesn't click, and I'm just I feel like a 90-year-old man going why isn't this working? And I'm just trying to route stuff in the mixer, and I just don't get it. So Bitwig was odd because it's such a modern DAW, but it works really well. And I thought I would never like Bitwig, but now it's my favorite thing. But now I do have Logic, so I might give that a try. I just got a Mac. You might
like it again. You never know.
Yeah. Well, Alchemy. You guys have Alchemy, and I don't have Alchemy.
Oh yes, I will say.
Alchemy was one of my favorite synths years and years ago. Back when you could get it on Windows.
Yeah.
But I had Alchemy. I still have Camel Fat and Camel Crusher. Those do still work. But Alchemy, for whatever reason, it won't work on newer versions of Windows, at least for me. So I finally had to uninstall it and say goodbye, because Alchemy was like one of my favorite synthesizers for years and years. But I finally got a Mac now for a project I'm working on, but it has Logic on it. So I'm like, I think this weekend I'm going to dive in and play with Sculpture and play with Alchemy, because I love both of those synths so much.
Yeah, there's cool stuff in there.
And the compressor in Logic too is really, really good.
Yeah, actually, it's stock compressors. It has a couple of them. Obviously there's a couple different ones, but they're pretty nice. I like them. Okay, hold on. Somebody had asked a question.
Do you have any?
I think it was about sound design, like how you approach sound design. I felt like that was
from,
kind of
K-Light.
from K-Light. Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
How do you approach sound design? It really, really depends. Oh, Pools is heading out. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, Pools.
Hi, Yorick.
I mean, I approach sound design in a lot of different ways because it's very case specific. If I get hired, for example, to produce a dubstep sample pack or something, I need to make big, loud, aggressive sounds. So I'm going to make big, stupid, heavy kicks and snares and claps and, lots of compression and stuff. But to me, it's all about just trying to figure out from A to B, what am I trying to accomplish and how do I do it? So in my brain, sound is broken up into 4 main categories, and that is time, frequency, amplitude, and timbre, and how those 4 things interact. That's always kind of how I break something down. So in the time domain, is it a long sound or is it a short sound? So it's a pretty simple, that's the first question I have to answer. And the next question being frequency. Is it bright? Is it deep? Is it very mid-rangey? Is it very, aggressive or something? And then we have timbre, which is more like, is it throaty? Is it airy? Is it metallic? Is it whatever? And then, the interaction of these things where maybe over time the sound gets darker, or maybe with increased amplitude the sound becomes more distorted, but at a lower amplitude it's much more mellow and smooth. So I kind of it's like writing a book or a paper or something in school. They say who, what, when, where, why. So I kind of try and follow that same logic when I'm designing a sound, just to answer the big questions. Is it loud? Is it quiet? Is it soft? Is it mean? Is it how much reverb can I put on this? Stuff like that. But
always back to the reverb.
But that's the big thing, is it's, is it metallic? Okay, then I might need an FM synthesizer. Is it very organic? Okay, then I might need to go out and record some stuff, and then layer it together or whatever. But, just depends on what I'm doing, because there's no right answer, though. And I think that's something people forget, is it's a lot like music production, where a lot of people want to tell you that there are rules and there are ways to do things, but I feel like if you get trapped in that mindset, you deny yourself a lot of creativity, as well as just kind of following things to see where they lead. Because that's something I had and still have a lot of trouble with, like with my music especially, is like you start to have this self-censorship of like, well, this sounds too compressed, or well, this sounds too cheesy, or this sounds too boring, or this, this feels trite and copied. But sometimes leaning into those idiosyncrasies of something can start to bring out something new and different. So you got to not think about the rules and technical side so much. You just got to kind of, that ball of clay analogy from earlier, just, you got to shape it a little bit at a time, and eventually you'll get something kind of cool. Sometimes you get a bunch of garbage. It really just depends.
But you gotta try, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
it's all about experiments, right?
And I just had the video I just put on my channel about like lessons I've learned in the music industry, and that's one of the big things is, if all else, you learned what not to do. So like if I make a really bad song and a really bad mix, I can try and make a conscious effort to recognize what I did wrong. Yeah. Did I use too much EQ? Did I overcompress it? Did I, the bass was too aggressive sounding? But if I can make an effort to analyze and take away, even though that song may not ever get released, it was still ultimately a productive session, because now I know going into my next thing or whatever I'm doing, I know not to do that again because it was bad.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. It's just all learning. You know, I think.
And it's a constant thing. There's no end game. It's not like one. Yeah, you don't wake up one day and you're just like, wow, I'm amazing at everything. It's just eventually it becomes harder to do a bad job, and you know you're always going to be trying to level up whatever you're doing. But
I like this. I feel like we should be writing some of these catchphrases down. Like, eventually, it'll be harder to do a bad job. Like I like that.
And that's the thing is, like, I'm not good at anything. I'm just bad at being bad at things now.
I just love it. I love this this perspective from you. So this is really cool, and it's very encouraging too. I feel like.
Yeah.
All right. I guess if we want to move into our next song, we're actually going to take a totally different direction than Ken. Right. This is like kind of like the light wave one that we have tonight.
Light wave.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like it's not hard wave, right? It's light wave.
What are all these made up genres you kids are?
That's what's so fun, though. We get to make up our own stuff, right?
Someone asked me about color bass the other day too. That's a new one I've never heard of.
I've never heard of that either.
Yep,
That's
no idea. I'm way too old for that.
Yeah, but this is the first time we featured this artist. Some of you might have already heard this artist before, but this is Asyrion, and this is their new song, One Touch. So.
All right. Wow, actually, I did not listen to this track till the end before when I checked our tracklist. So this ending actually it was so unexpected. I mean, to hear this cinematic voice and cello, right? So, but yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's really cool vibe and really cool blend of styles. Yeah. So, what do you think, Cameron?
It reminds me a lot of an artist called Roger Wilco, I believe. I'm gonna have to look it up. There's a song that sounds very, very similar.
Roger Wilco?
Messed up. I love that.
Yeah, Roger Wilco. There's a song called Heart. I believe this is it. Let me find it. Because it has this, like... Yeah, Roger Wilco Heart. It has this, like, neuro garage blend. Where it's kind of got that rumbly bass with the crispy top end a little bit. But it has that really kind of exaggerated heavy sidechain thing going on. So it's a really interesting blend. Pretty cool. Yeah, the vocal at the end, I agree, was a little out of nowhere. And I do wish that was kind of more in there. Because there were some nice kind of little textures and stuff happening. But yeah, I wish there was just a bit more of that because it was really, really cool, and I feel like there was.
That's what I.
There was a really neat.
I wish it would be more of that. Yeah.
There was a really neat idea somewhere underneath there that my brain wanted it to kind of go in a different direction, but it was a really cool track, and I feel like although it was a lot to take in, it was all put together very well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that stuff, it's very easy to get overwhelmed with, like, you know, just this kind of like ADD of like, wow, there's so much stuff going on. No, that was really, really cool.
It had some really cool elements. Yeah.
Light wave, that's what that is?
I don't know. That's just what
that's what Michelle said.
That's just what I called it. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, there's so many like crossovers stuff. You know, it's like it's definitely the reason I was calling it light wave is because I felt like if you hardened that, it definitely could feel like wave, like like it would be really easy, I think, to push that into like wave music, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's like so many like crossover genre things going on, and Anna and I love stuff like that. So I just think that's the coolest thing, and I love it that it makes it sound different, and it pulls in these different elements, and I think maybe
it felt almost like halftime to me.
Asyrion might be a little bit older. Yeah, I could totally see like late 90s breakbeat style stuff. Definitely. Yeah. But
it kind of felt like a halftime jungle sort of thing going on, just because the percussion was very rapid fire, but it was kind of this slower, chunky beat.
Right. But that's what, like, it's so cool because it's like, it's still chill, but then it's like you're moving, you know, like you have all this like movement and all these layers, but you're still like, you know, it's not like dance music, you know, you're not getting up there like, you know, like wanting to, don't get me wrong, we like dance music too, just saying.
Yeah, it was great, very great.
That was very, very cool. I love it. I'll probably put it on my playlist. Yeah, I'll probably put it on my playlist. Yeah. But if you guys have any more questions for Cameron, don't forget to put those in the chat. I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next track, though, if Anna wants to introduce that one.
Yes, sure.
Just so we can keep things flowing.
The next one is actually from Aurora B.Polaris. And he just, yesterday, I believe, released this new one. Chill step / ambient track. I think it's more ambient, more even ambient, and really like the vibe in this one. So the track title is "The Distance Between Us." So let's listen. Yeah, like Photomedian said, I wish it would be longer. A little bit. It's beautiful. I mean, it's very well done. I especially like how guitar sounds in the intro here. And piano, of course. It's really lovely.
Yeah, I loved how gentle that piano was. That was, and this was very different for Aurora B.Polaris, because while he has done, you know, chill music in the past, like recently, within the past about 2 years, his focus has been much more upbeat, you know, more like melodic dubstep type stuff. So the fact that he kind of went back to these chill roots for this song was so nice and super cool for him to kind of take a little bit of a break and kind of do something more relaxed like this. Yes.
I liked how focused that one felt, though. Someone pointed out it felt like there was like a guitarist and a pianist kind of jamming together. And I liked how simplified the track was. There wasn't too many, you know, layers and changes and whatever. It was a very like concise idea that all gelled together very, very nicely.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped it sound just super, super clean. I missed a little bit of it there, but the mix was really, really clean. And I think that's in large part due to like there's not 500,000 ideas trying to take place. It was just a very well thought out track.
Yeah, I think so too. It almost felt like a lullaby. Did you get that feel at all, Anna? Like that's how it felt to me, like kind of like a lullaby.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can
like just so like relaxed, and I liked the percussion. I liked how minimalistic that was as well. Like it was definitely there, but it was more just to help move the pretty instruments along instead of having like they're like making sure that they were so noticeable kind of a thing. And I really liked that.
And melodically too, it felt kind of like what you would hear from like a music box, where it was very, simplified and mostly kind of monophonic. Yeah. It's not like this, slurry of notes all the time. Because I feel like that's hard with piano stuff, especially, is to not go like, and just like add all this stuff going on. This was very like refined, and everything kind of played off each other nicely. And I like though that the guitar didn't like explode all over the track, because I feel like sometimes guitar stuff is like you got just these big chords and whatever, and it just overtakes everything. But everything, came together very, very nicely.
Yeah. So I actually have a question for you regarding instruments and stuff. So you said that you play guitar, you clearly play piano, synth style stuff. What other instruments do you play, or do you play any? And what instruments would you like to learn to play that you don't know how?
Probably be faster to list the stuff I don't play. I don't know. I don't know how to play like horns, like brass and woodwinds, and some woodwinds I can sort of do. But I never really learned how to do that. I can't do anything with like brass or reeds. Basically anything with strings I can figure out. But I think that a large part of that, though, is kind of the theory part of my brain, where as long as I know the tuning of something, then I can figure out how to, do something. I'm not the best player at everything, but typically I can just, fumble my way around and figure something out. So harmonica, I guess, is the only like reed instrument I can play. Then I would love though to have one of those. Let's see, I'd love to have a full like proper cello. I think that would be awesome, because I just love the sound of cello. It's like my favorite sounding instrument. But cellos are like super expensive, so probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Fellow
at least.
Scorpio said, fun fact, Cameron is an excellent finger drummer.
Yeah, I feel like that comes from playing drums, though. As I can pick out though how a drummer would play something. Yeah. So I can like sort of replicate that.
So do you play hand drums?
Yeah, I'll do my. I've got my Sensal Morph controller, and I've got my drum overlay thing for that. So I've got kind of an MPC style drum pad here. I'll do that a lot, and then my Arturia Key Lab has drum pads on it as well. And that I used to have a electronic drum kit, and I wish I wouldn't have sold it, because I do like playing actual drums, because it's fun to hit things with sticks. But yeah, now I just do a lot of finger drumming for everything, and a lot of my drum parts too, and my tracks will stem from that usually too. If I have a drum idea, I'll put it together in a drum rack and like manually play it out. Which is funny, because I feel like I get asked about that a lot too, of like, the pianos or something, like they sound so real, and it's like, well, it's because I actually like played them, because I feel like we often get trapped in this world of like clicking in the notes and perfectly quantizing everything, and it loses that kind of humanization to it. But yeah, I wish I could play that. There's like some, I guess there's like a Chinese lap harp. I can't remember what it's called. A guzheng or something like that.
I can't recall right now, but I figure what you mean,
Yeah, it's like a 6 or 12 string instrument. I think those sound really, really cool. And then there's a Japanese
Erhu, no?
Erhu, yeah, there's a cool one. Or Erhu, however you say it. And there's the, I don't know, guzheng or whatever it is. I can't pronounce any of that stuff. And there's one that's like, I think it's a Japanese instrument. I can't remember what it is, but it's kind of like an auto harp, if you know what those are. And then the koto. I wish I had a koto. That would be super, super cool. If it was up to me, I'd have tons of like weird world instruments. But they're often very expensive and very hard to find, especially when you live in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere. It's not like I can walk to a music shop and be like, hey, do you have, this obscure Brazilian guitar thing?
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though. So Will, as a follow-up question, Will would like to know if you have any controllers using MPE.
Yeah.
And if you can play them.
That would be this thing here. This is a Sensal Morph. So it's an MPE controller, but what's cool is it's got these different overlays. So there's the Rolly C-board, which a lot of people have, and then there's things like the Linstrument. But this is kind of a cool combination of all those things because it plays like a piano, but it does MPE responsiveness. But you can, so like this drum overlay, for example, I can be playing this, and on the fly, I can just pull that off, and then just slap on the drum overlay and start doing drums. And then it's got this one, which is a really interesting overlay. So this is designed after a Buchla modular system. So it's not really like a traditional keyboard or instrument layout. But you can assign these to whatever you want. So I could use this as like a filter cutoff, or I could use this as like an XY controller, and these could play different notes, or it could be my mod wheel. So that's a very, very cool thing. I do really like this, especially for stuff that responds to MPE.
That's so cool.
The nice thing is, though, too, is it's so small that, like, I can throw this in my laptop bag and, like, bring it with me and have, like, a playable keyboard. Or if I'm just working, I can just plop this on my desk, and I've just got a quick touch surface to, you know, play stuff or whatever, or write automation with or whatnot.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
The great thing is it's not very expensive either, and I feel like that's one of the hard parts with the MPE controllers is they do get very, very pricey. And obviously, music is a pretty expensive hobby.
This is so cool. Like, I'm learning so much about, like, gear, because, you know, being, like, a newer artist, like, I have almost no hardware. Like, I literally have, like, one keyboard, and, yeah, I do most of it, like, just on my DAW or, like, playing on the keyboard a little bit or, you know, something. So I see all these really cool, like, hardware things, and it's just like, oh,
it's a deep rabbit hole.
That would be cool to learn. Yeah.
Man, it's hard, you know. And that's the thing, though. I feel like people, and you know, like you mentioned earlier, you know, people have plug-in addiction, and I feel like that's really easy to get trapped in because we're constantly like, you know, we have shiny object syndrome, where we're like, oh, dude, you know, if I had that, my music would sound so much better. And like 9 out of 10 times, that's really not the case. A lot of things do the same thing. You know, like.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, people are like, if I only, you know, and I hear that from newer artists all the time. It's like, oh, dude, if I had Serum, you know, my music would be so much better. Or if I had, you know, if I had Logic, I could make such better mixes. And it's like, if you just learn the tools you have, you'll be way better off, because you would be very surprised at how often things overlap. You know, people are always like, should I get Serum, or should I get Vital, or should I get this? And it's like, just pick one, because you're going to learn it. And if you invest the time in it, you're going to get way more out of it than buying 50 things that you don't understand. Because then you're just going to be sitting there surfing presets forever, and you're going to be like, well, this doesn't make that sound, even though it probably can. And I think hardware is the same way. And the problem with hardware, though, is it's so much more expensive. You know, a plug-in synth can be $50, but, you know, a hardware synth is, you know, maybe $1,000. So that's a little harder to swallow when you're like, ooh, that thing looks really neat.
Yeah.
And then you bring it home and you're like, oh, this thing's actually kind of dumb. That was a huge waste of money. Whoops.
Yeah. that definitely makes sense. And I mean, like, I know myself, you know, even like you said, just talking about like working with what you have, like learning to get better with that, and learning and understanding the applications of how to use it and what it means and what it all does, and how it shapes sound and does different things. Like, I mean, I know I myself definitely need to get better with that, but I think that's a good point to make, though. Like, yes, it's cool to have plugins, but maybe start with understanding exactly what it is you need to be doing before you like really invest
and then you realize the limitations of stuff. So like, when I'm looking to buy a piece of gear or a plugin or whatever, since I understand everything I have, because I take a lot of time to read the manual and test it out and whatever, then I figure out what its limitations are. So then I understand, okay, if I do buy this new thing, whatever that may be, is it actually going to add something new to my setup, or is it going to like alleviate a problem I have? You know, maybe this synth is really cool, but it's very hard to use, and this synth does the same thing, but it's easier to do, then I'll probably buy it. But if I look at it and go, well, it's this exact same thing, but it has a different filter, then I know it's probably a waste of money.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But then you end up getting it anyway, because shiny object syndrome is very hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, that
especially reverb.
Yeah.
Reverb plugins always get me. I'm like,
Right?
ooh, that one sounds nice.
That's probably everybody's favorite anyway.
Okay, let's jump into next one.
All right. I got a
Awesome.
cookie here too. I told my wife I'd eat it live on the air, so
Yay!
bring it on. Cookies and reverb.
Oh,
what
you
kind
have
of
cookie?
cookie is it?
She made snickerdoodle and chocolate chip, but she's leaving me this weekend, so she made me chocolate chip cookies. So I think this is like my survival allowance. This is all I've got to last on the whole weekend.
That's hilarious.
Okay, guys. Next track we have from Melldu. Track title is Mute Theater. So it's kind of like a little bit more uplifting, like a down tempo track. Let's listen.
Very dissonant ending there. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Huh.
I do wonder if that cello was live.
I was gonna say it was. I don't feel like that was a sample library, but I don't know, sample libraries can be very good anymore, so it's really hard to say, but that felt like a real cello or a very, very meticulously programmed cello part.
Yeah.
But that cello is phenomenal. So. Yeah. And if it was live, it was recorded very well. I mean, it sounded beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh.
I agree. I liked the overall groove in that. Like, I do feel like, as Will said, like, I feel like, you know, maybe the mix wasn't the strongest, but I feel like the overall, like, feel of the song felt really good. Just like, you know, the idea was there. And I really loved the cello.
I almost disagree. I kind of liked the anti-production aspect to it.
Yeah.
Where it had a bit more character because of it. Because at times, like, some of the percussion... It felt like it was just ever so slightly kind of drifting in and out of time. So the hats kind of had this really loose, sloppy feel, and I don't know if it's like the samples were not timed right or if it was like performed live and then looped and cut up or whatever. But yeah, I liked I don't know, it was very punk rock to have like a not so polished thing. But yeah, like the like minimal techno stuff is like a total guilty pleasure of mine, and like as soon as that started playing, once that piano and stuff came in, it's like that's the music I personally wish I could write. And I've tried to write tracks like that, and I can't do it. I can't figure it out, and I really liked the I don't know, just the immediacy of it. It was a very tactile song that it was like a human wrote this. You know what I mean? It wasn't so just overdone. Very cool.
I do think that was a really, really cool one. That was one Anna found. So
yeah, I dig cello. I mean,
I loved the cello.
Big fan of cellos.
Yes.
In electronic music, I mean, it's just it always takes my attention. I mean, but anyway, the whole vibe, the whole mood, like you, Michelle, said, I really dig this vibe, and
I like how Fellow said he enjoyed the melodic content, and that's what I really liked. I really liked that about this, like the movement and the melody. It was very cool.
And the chords were really like powerful too. It was nice, and I just liked that the track had a world and it had a very distinct human element to it, where it was, you know, it was lived in and it was, you know, a moment. It wasn't like just this, I want to make a song that sounds like this. Like it had its kind of leniencies into, you know, minimal techno and whatever, but it was very, very cool that it was just so straightforward. And like I said, I love that punk rock, like no-fi, crust punk, whatever aspect of it. If it's just like, here's the song and here it is and here's the idea. I don't know, I feel like that ultra raw aspect of it just made it feel a bit more emotional. You know, instead of relying. I thought it was
cool. It's so different. I mean, and that's what's so fun about music, is like these little subjective things, you know, that however, and we all kind of have like our own little preferences, but that's kind of like what's so cool about like when you get to be the creator too. And that aspect is, it's like you get to pick like, well, I like it like this, so you know, like that's how I'm gonna do it. You know,
I'm just dying to know about that cello, though, man. Wow, that was so.
I know. I kind of want to know. It was cool.
Yeah. We have a question from Arel. What whiskey you enjoying?
Tonight is Woodford Reserve.
Ooh, a Kentucky. Isn't that a Kentucky whiskey?
I believe it is, yeah. It's a Woodford Reserve, the small batch, so it's really, really good. Actually went pretty well with the chocolate chip cookie, I'm not gonna lie.
I actually only know that because my husband and I actually don't even drink, but my dad was a drinker, and so when he would come up to visit, we used to get him Woodford Reserve, because I'm pretty sure it's a Kentucky thing, and we're in Indiana, but like right over the border in Indiana, so Kentucky.
Oh, so you're close to all the good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not too far from. So that's still pretty cool.
Oblivion. I'm on cheap.
Now I just want a cookie.
Oh, they were good.
I think
Alright,
should send us cookies.
If we don't have questions in chat, I mean, I have some question. Cameron, you mentioned before that because of your work that you do, you do not release your own music often because you simply don't have enough time for that. What do you think about it? Do you want to do more music of your own, or are you pretty happy about this situation that you have? And if you want to do more music, so what are you going to do about that? Or
yeah,
any
it's
other plans?
it's hard because, like, of course, you know, being a musician and a creative type, I just have this need to make something, you know, and at the same time, I feel like it's nice, though, to not have that pressure of being just an artist, because it allows me to flex those kind of creative muscles in different ways, where sometimes I'm doing graphic design stuff, or I'm doing sample packs, or I'm doing, you know, preset design for a synthesizer, or I'm, you know, consulting on a product design or something like that, or I'm, you know, sometimes I'm in the mood to, like, do some art. But it's not necessarily always music, you know, sometimes I just open Photoshop or I open Blender and I'll just kind of make something and throw it away. And I feel like there's this zen in the impermanence of it, where I don't have to release this and commercialize it and promote it, and it doesn't have to have my name on it. It can exist and I can wipe it away. You know, it's like a sand garden where I make a pretty circle and then I scrub it away and I can throw my hands up and be like, I'm done. But yeah, like, I want to release more of my own music. It's just a balancing act of, like, realistically, it doesn't pay a whole lot to just make music. So, you know, taking the time to make music, you know, I'm an adult, I have bills to pay, so it's, you know, it's a hard thing to strike a balance on. But I feel like if it was up to me, I would like to get more into media composition and stuff. Because I enjoy making music, I just don't necessarily always enjoy having to be Venus Theory with it. Because, you know, making music is great, but then there's the mixing and the mastering, and I got to make the artwork. I got to send it out to labels or whatever. You got to talk to promoters. You got to, you know, you have to box it up, put a label on it, and try and sell it. And I feel like sometimes that just takes a lot of the fun out of it. So, like, you know, I would like to release more music, but it is a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And sometimes that sucks the magic out of it.
By making music for media, you mean it's like when you make music for commercials or...
Yeah, you know, like writing music for, like, games or film or ads or whatever, you know, I kind of like that sort of stuff, and I like being able to, feed off the...
music for games?
I've done a couple things for, like, some apps and whatever. It's not really, like, a primary thing I've done, and then I've done some stuff for, like, some commercials and whatnot. And then, like I mentioned, you know, for, like, product demos and whatever, I'll make the demo track and whatnot, and that can be really fun. So, you know, that stuff's neat, and I like doing that. But it's like, I like the idea, though, of being able to work off of something else where, you know, like a game, for example, there's a new world and a new thing there that I haven't done before. So it's interesting to challenge myself to try something different. And then, you know, from that, it's nice because then I can pull that into my own music, and what I learned from doing that, or, you know, that vibe or whatever might inspire some of my own works. But to me, I just feel like doing music and making it into a commercial effort would just be too hard. You know, I've done that before, and that, you know, like I talked about earlier when we were all chatting kind of privately, it was just like, I used to be in bands and I used to tour and I used to do all that, and it just zapped all the fun and inspiration out of it. It just became a job, and I don't want to do that again. So, you know, I'd rather be able to take my time and release stuff when I feel like making it and when I feel like releasing it. And when I feel like putting it on Submit Hub to get a bunch of emails to be like, your song sucks, no thanks.
Submit Hub. Don't mention it.
It's a hard world out there.
I don't even want to talk about Submit Hub, to be honest.
God, it's brutal. It's brutal.
It's more like Reject Hub at this point, and I just like...
And it's so funny because it's like you pour all of this effort and emotion into a track, and they're like, your snare is garbage, bye.
No, I feel like the worst is like when they're like, oh, we loved your song, it's so good, but we just don't feel like it fits anywhere, and you're like, okay, like, whatever.
Yeah, that's the best part too, is you get that really long email of like, it's amazing, love it so much, but ... and you're like, okay, thanks.
You're
but
like,
yeah, I don't know.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I want to make more music. I just got to find the time for it, and I gotta be in that very specific headspace. Because, like I said, to me, it's like songs. I don't know. I don't make songs. I discover them, and it's just all those stars have to align. You know what I mean?
Stop. Oh my goodness, he cracks me up.
But it's hard. But yeah, I think that was kind of one of my goals this year, was to start releasing more music, because last year was a lot of work for me, where I kind of was working on my YouTube channel and not necessarily taking a break, but I was just pursuing some other aspects of business,
I actually noticed, because before, when we choose some tracks for our show before, I was always looking for your new tracks, but I didn't find. But last time when you released the last one, so the last EP, so I said, oh, finally we can share.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I've got a lot of new stuff kind of in the works. It's just a matter of finishing it, and then because it's like, I do all my sound design work, and I work for a lot of different companies, and they're all in different time zones, and then I've got to do my YouTube channel. So it's like a lot of my free time gets soaked up just doing other stuff that I do, writing songs for this, or making a video about this, or doing my YouTube videos, or editing YouTube videos, and then just emails. Like that's like a 1.5 days out of my week, really. Just all day is emails and DMs and meetings. Do
you have strict schedule, like when you just finish working for whole weekend, you do not open emails or something like that? Or it depends.
It's something I'm trying to do, because like I'd love to be able to spend time with like my wife and my dog, and like we like to go hiking and we want to do stuff, but at the same time, the music industry exists in this weird space where it's never off. And because there are so many people who want to be a music artist or a sound designer or a media composer or whatever, there's this constant thing in the back of your head that says, I have to do this now. Because we all know that if you don't take that gig, somebody will.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, you almost feel obligated, though, that if you're offered or afforded an opportunity, you feel obligated to pursue it and do as good of a job as you can with it. Because, like coming on this show tonight, to me, it's like I feel like I have to do that, because if it was asked of me and I'm capable of doing it, why wouldn't I? And I feel like we all get stuck in that headspace where we try and set a schedule, but you get that email at 2 a.m. and you got to reply to it. Or, these people need you to do this thing in 4 days, so you're going to work all weekend and you're going to work really late at night. And then, of course, we all trap ourselves in our studio with our fun lights, and our brain doesn't recognize that the sun went down 6 hours ago and it's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So
I will say that does stink about, like, my studio down here is like, I'm in the basement, right? So I don't have a lot of sense of time. So when I do shut things out, it is hard sometimes, because you'll sit here and then you look, I mean, even though I have like, my clock on the computer, and you look up and you're like, oh crap, I've been doing this for like, 4 hours. And then you're like, oh man, it's like, I didn't get my kids dinner, or whatever. It's just like,
well, that's why I got these lights, actually, because these, I have them programmed to go from daylight to like nighttime, like candlelight. So I still get kind of a biomechanical feedback from the lights of, okay, it's getting late. It's probably time to, go take a walk or eat dinner or shower, because you haven't showered in 3 days because you've been sitting here playing with reverb. But
so I do have a slight follow-up question. So I know you said like you're really busy doing music stuff, but when you have downtime, I know you spend a lot of it like with Alicia and with your pup, but do you have any hobbies? I know you mentioned hiking, right? But do you have anything like outside of music that maybe you don't have a lot of time to pursue, but if you had more time,
I don't know, I feel
would want to do? Or is this just like you just have such a passion about this that this is just something, this is what you want to do,
Yeah, I feel very lucky in that I'm in that weird space where the things I want to do and the things that earn me money actually overlap quite a bit. And, maybe I'm weird because I am definitely more of a workaholic. Like, I just enjoy the feeling of doing stuff and getting things done, which I think, is a large part of why I do so much. And, you know, I stay up later than other people. And I feel like that's the thing, is what separates a lot of the successful people in this industry from those who aren't, is just being the person who wants it that like 1% more and being able to put in the extra 15 minutes. So, you know, like, I enjoy editing videos. I enjoy making YouTube videos. It does kind of suck, and it is a bit of a grind. But, you know, like, I like designing sounds. I think it's a lot of fun. I just figured out a way to market it.
Yeah.
So
cool.
it does kind of break up a little bit, though, because then, you know, because like I don't have a boss, really. You know, I am Venus Theory, and I do stuff for people. So it is weird, but at the same time, it does turn into more of a gig where it's like I have to answer to people, and it does not allow me to do everything I want to do, but I get to do most of what I want to do. But yeah, outside of that, like, I really like hiking. I used to be way more into photography, but like, not such a thing anymore, because I don't want to haul my camera with me everywhere, and I don't want to have to edit pictures, because editing pictures takes forever, and I'd rather spend that time doing more productive things. Love video games. Absolutely love video games. Had to uninstall like all of my games, though, because I know the second I boot up Fallout or Elder Scrolls or something, I'm not going to get anything done for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm a Halo girl myself, so it's so distracting, because you'll be like, I'm just going to hop on. I still have buddies we game with Halo 5 regularly, still almost like all the time. And I'll be like, I'm just going to hop on. I'll just play for like an hour. And then, you know,
that's where it
2
gets
hours,
you.
3 hours. And then you're like, oh, it's been 3 hours playing video games, you know? Yeah, that's cool.
And that's my problem too, is like, because I don't have a traditional like 9 to 5 job and like 9 to 5 schedule, if I do something like that, there is nothing to stop me from doing that. Other than like, I'm just not going to earn any money that week because I'm not going to work at all. I'm just going to sit there going like, dude, one more headshot. Come on.
I know. Isn't it terrible? One more win. We just crushed them that round.
Oh, I used to play Battlefield all the time, and I can't play Battlefield anymore for that exact reason, where I'm like, one more match,
Yes.
one more match, Jason, and I'm going to bed. I promise.
I'll just play for an hour. Yes, that was totally a lie. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Or like you just said, like, oh, just one more match. It's never just one more. My gaming buddies tease me all the time about that, because my husband will be like, all right, let's go to bed, because we game together a lot, you know? So he'll be like, all right, it's time for bed. And I'll be like, babe, one more game. And the guys always start laughing, because they're just like, here it comes. Michelle says one more. It really means like 5 more, you know?
Or you get on your computer and you see like one of your friends is on Steam or whatever, and they're playing a game, and you're like, I'll join him for a minute. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, it's like 4 a.m. I gotta go to work in like 3 hours. I should probably stop now. But I think it's important to have, though, like, just other things to do, because it is really easy to get sucked into music thinking you just have to have this insane output all the time, and then you just get stuck like grinding away on music until you hate it, and you're like, I never want to write another song ever again.
Yeah.
But
that's
what
cool.
about you guys, though? What do you do outside music? You game and stuff.
Yeah, well, I have 3 kids and a husband.
That's my hobby.
Who actually just popped in the chat to say, yeah, 1 more always means 5 more. Yeah, so I'm usually busy with my family, but I love hiking, I love video games, and I love reading. So really anything outside of music. And honestly, I love listening to music. So when I'm not producing, I'm socializing with my music peeps, or gaming, or listening to me. I love listening to music. So hence the show. We love to share music and listen to music.
Yeah, and I have my main job, so whenever I have free time, I prefer to use it for music, basically. But yeah, I also love hiking a lot. Sometimes we hike as well.
And Anna has her boo. She has her little puppy.
Yes,
Boo.
yes.
He's so cute. Oh, yes, he's so cute.
That's like, that's my hobby, is buying my dog things that my dog doesn't need.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, it's awful. My wife, because we're moving and whatever, my wife has been like, oh, we need, she gets on Amazon or Wayfair or whatever, and she finds like a $6,000 dog bed. Oh, we need that. Oh, it's beautiful. She found one. I think it was a $10,000 dog house.
What?
So it was like a
Wow.
literal house with like, it had shingles, it had windows, it had like little rooms in it, and it was like a legit house for dogs. And I was like, who in their right mind is like, you know what my dog needs is a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, what's really bad is my husband is a carpenter and he can build all sorts of things.
Oh, that's probably dangerous
So
then.
actually, my desk, my studio desk down here, yeah, we custom designed this because this is like stuff that he
I'm
does.
jealous.
So.
I wish
I know.
I wish I had the tools, but tools get really expensive is the problem.
Yes, that's true too.
But I suppose and you've got an excuse. He buys tools, and you get to buy music equipment, and you can be like, you can't yell at me because that drill was like $700, dude.
Right? Well, he spoils me anyway, so it's okay.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's a huge supporter of me with SGM and music. Like he loves it. He loves our show, and
Right on.
he loves me being involved with music. So that's really cool. We
My
have
wife
just a
pretends
couple
to
more
like my
songs.
music.
Oh, stop! She loves it because you guys used to do music together. We just have a couple more songs tonight. I guess we should probably throw one on because we could
Bring it
probably sit
on.
here and talk all
Yeah.
day, right? But yeah,
I'm sure
this
we'll all
might
be on
fun.
Discord later if anyone wants to chat.
I'm sure
and
we probably
whatnot.
will. But this is another one Anna picked out. It's very cool. This is Akrow and their song "Don't Feel It."
Right. Let's listen.
So much passion.
So, I think this is some woodwind instrument, right?
I'm kind of trying to figure out like what that. I don't know what it is, but it's got like this really interesting tension feel to it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's cool, but it's like all this like tension, and then when everything finally kicks back in, you're like, whew, like this like relief almost.
Yeah, that one's got a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting though. I feel like it had its own theme almost. It was very different. And yeah, whatever that like sax pseudo thing was, like it almost sounds like a synthesized horn, because it had this weird edge to it, but it was bizarre.
Yeah, it's difficult to say what is this, right?
Yeah, it was so cool though. It was so unique. It's like you couldn't easily place it, but like in a really cool way. Pete thinks it's a, how do you say that? A duduk? Duduk? I don't know how to pronounce some of these.
Duduk.
Yeah, some of these.
I think duduk.
Yeah,
because it had that kind of raspy growl to it where it was almost like a horn, but it wasn't. That was interesting. No, I loved the vibe to it. Yeah, because people were saying it felt, very like smoky New Orleans jazz club or something. So it was cool though that just, again, kind of like I mentioned earlier, that sound can pull you into this world. You kind of just get these mental flashes of like what, I guess the unnamed narrator is feeding you sonically. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, interesting sound.
Yeah.
I liked though that
cool.
It was like a kind of a future garage-ish sort of feeling thing, but it wasn't like intro, A drop, middle section, B drop, outro. It wasn't like that exact same format that every track seems to follow. It was very, statement, response, and it wasn't, it didn't drag out. It was just enough. And it was really interesting, but it didn't like overstay its welcome.
Yeah, that's very cool. I liked that one a lot.
Good find, right?
Oh yeah, no, totally. I like it that it was so interesting and kind of unique. And I loved the vocal sample that they used, by the way. And they kind of made it
so much, like you said, almost passion.
Yeah, it's just like,
and it was cool though that they did the formant shifting and all that stuff, but it didn't feel overly done. But it had this kind of ghostly, almost not human quality to it, which I think
like
is
a haunting, which actually really went well with the duduk. If it was the duduk and the like that kind of tension it created, it was very cool. I liked it a lot.
And it reminded me kind of like of Burial in a way, where the vocals are processed in such a way that they're almost alien feeling, So it's very, very interesting. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to listen to that one again later. It's a lot to digest. It was so cool.
It is. That was really cool. That was a good find, Anna. Yeah. So if Akrow makes their way by the stream, thanks for such a cool and interesting song.
Yeah. Snaps for Akrow. All right.
Yeah.
That was jazzy, cat. All right.
Yeah,
so
that was really
cool. Do we have any
other
questions in chat or?
I actually had one that was kind of a follow, and I don't think it'll take long to answer. I think it's something that. But it kind of went along the lines of when you said that, like with Venus Theory, when you were doing music, that you didn't want to feel necessarily like tied to having to produce music in the sense of what fits with Venus Theory, right? So a lot of artists that I've known over the years, or even, you see artists, maybe you don't know them personally, but they do like an alias change, right? Where they do like this shift, or maybe they pick up like a second alias. So I kind of have two questions for you. One, do you currently make music under any other aliases that we just don't maybe know about? And two, what do you think about the whole alias change thing? Like, do you think that's a good thing if people are making music that's like just completely off genre than they're typical, or do you think that it just is like muddies things for listeners and stuff?
I mean, personally, I don't know. I am Deadmau5. I don't know if that's come out yet. But yeah, no, I don't really currently do anything under other aliases. You know, a lot of it just falls under the Venus Theory flagship, but you know, some of it's just not really something I necessarily push out there, because you know, a lot of it is just tracks that don't really matter. You know, it's not really a track, it's just a demonstration of something. You know, if it's a sound bank demo or a synth demo or whatever, or you know, if it's background music for an ad, it's not really, you know, I don't feel like there's a need to establish an alias, even though a lot of it is very different from what I would normally do. Because you know, making sample packs and stuff, I make a lot of different stuff. You know, some days I'm doing like lo-fi hip hop, and other days I'm doing like drum and bass, and other days I'm doing like, you know, whatever weird thing has come up. You know, rhythm, that was a big thing like a year ago, where I was just constantly making bass sounds that are like, and then there's like a, you know, screechy bit to it or something. So I've never really felt the need to establish an alias, just because, you know, I do so many different things that it just, you know, none of it really comes out on SoundCloud or something to where I feel there would be a need to establish one. But I think it can be a good idea. You know, I write a lot of music that just never sees the light of day. I mean, let's see, right now on my progress folder of junk, let's see, I've got, who knows, yeah, let's run a scan here. I've got like 7 gigabytes of just random music that's like not finished or still in progress. But you know, I feel like as an artist it can be helpful to establish an alias if you want to release something that's just completely different. But at the same time, I would also say, why not just do it, you know, release something totally different? Because to me, the hard part with an alias would be, you know, then you've got to promote it if you want it to go anywhere. And I think, you know, to some degree there's an ego involved, and we all want our music to be heard and we want to be recognized for our efforts. So, you know, that's a lot to take on. You know, being just a single artist is a lot of work, but being, you know, 2 or more artists at once, like I do not envy the person who feels that they can take that on.
Me too, because it's lots of work.
Yeah.
I had a little minion just deliver me some coffee.
But there was no creamer left, I heard.
Oh yeah, no, there is. I think she used the last of it.
She's gonna be grounded later, I'll tell you that. But yeah, no, I feel like the alias thing is cool, but you know, be bold, just release it. You know, if you make a great house track and you're normally like a chill producer, just do it. You know, if you're a dubstep producer and you make a lo-fi hip hop banger, just whatever. You know, why are you letting people tell you that you have to do one thing?
I feel like Fela has done a really good job with that, because you know, he really did a lot with the chill step-ish type stuff when he, like, you know, of course we're talking, you know, over 10 years ago at this point, but then he went into this like really interesting like ambient drone, which was you know, threw everybody for a loop, but at the same time, like, that's not necessarily like my thing, but it didn't prevent me from coming back to his music to see, you know, like his next EP drops and you're not like, oh, I'm not even going to check that out. You're like, no, I want to know like what he's doing, you know? And,
well, I feel like though,
you know,
art and music and stuff ultimately is just a reflection of a temporary existence. And we want to establish our, you know, ego and id and identity into a work and embody that. So I feel like, you know, if you're exploring a certain mood or a feeling or going through whatever, and that translates into your music, there's no sense in having to establish an entirely new identity to do that, because ultimately if it's true to you and who you are, that is a reflection of you as an artist. So why not just put it out there? You know, sometimes you just want to make a bunch of stupid house loops, so put it out there. Sometimes you just want to make a lot of weird ambient drone stuff that's 45 minutes long. But ultimately, again, if it's a true expression of what you want to say, and, you know, something that's part of who you are, then just, you know, do it. Why not? Whatever. Oh, I guess, yeah, there is a DJ Grumpy Gills. That is my alias, though, actually. Scorpio is right. DJ Grumpy Gills is my idiot alter ego where I just make garbage. I just want to make...
DJ Grumpy Gills?
Definitely, like, 18 plus horrible trash.
Oh boy.
Check it out. Yeah, DJ Grumpy Gills.
That's sounds interesting.
My motto is the party don't stop until everyone walks out. That's DJ Grumpy Gills' philosophy. Is just I want to make trash. Like I said though, that's what I want. The SpongeBob SquarePants theme song Bro Step edition that then leads into a piano concerto. I want
that kind of reminds me of like when Ramses B did that Rick and Morty remix or something. And I thought it was so ridiculous, but like everybody was like, "Oh, I love that." And I'm like, "Okay."
It's that inner urge to self-destruct and make the worst possible thing I can. So that's DJ Grumpy Gills, I guess, is just that other voice on my shoulder that's like, do it. Your fellows are telling on you now. You have a DJ Grumpy Gills sample pack called Bananas. Oh yeah, I put out. I think it was like the stems or some samples from one of the DJ Grumpy Gills songs. It's on my website. It's a free download. It's full of just trash. It's a thing. I need to do another one at some point. I was gonna do another DJ Grumpy Gills track for 50,000 subscribers. But due to a lack of time doing a million other things, I couldn't do it. But one of these days,
like
DJ
chatting
Grumpy
with us
Gills,
on SGM, everyone's going to blame us now. It's going to be our fault.
You had to do this show. We want Grumpy Gills.
Just think, he could have been making DJ Grumpy Gills samples for 3 hours. Yeah,
it's one of those things. It's like Godzilla. Every 100 years he crawls out of the ocean, and that's DJ Grumpy Gills. Every once in a while, just that. The worst part of my consciousness surfaces, and I have to make trash.
It gets it out of your system, right?
That's the thing, though, is it's like I have this idea and I can't let it go because I'm like, I need to do that now. Or I'm like, that's really funny, or it's so not funny that it's funny. So I'm like, okay, gotta do it, and then I do it and I put it out, and that's the end. And I just go, okay, cool. Now I can move on to making sad minor chords with reverb again, but. There's those little moments where I'm like, I get a really bad idea, and I'm like, oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I've even done stuff where it's like, I did like dubstep, but I had like a banjo solo in it. So there's a lot of random garbage on my hard drives that will never ever see the light of day. But it's those little moments, and sometimes they turn into a proper piece of polished garbage. Where I'm like, okay, I'll put that out.
But I think the point, like tying that in with what you said, though, is that this isn't an alias that you actively like promote. This is just something more for you to just mess around and like have fun and
It's just it's like the garbage can in your room. It's there. It's necessary. It's just that's where trash goes. So it's like And that's the thing is like I guess though to some extent like obviously that's not Venus Theory brand, but I think in my case there are also some other considerations where it's like I can't put that under that name because that name also represents my business more or less. Mm-hmm. So, there's gotta, you gotta play the game a little bit, but
yeah. I see that.
But yeah,
everybody's making fun of my talking about making a track about the last bit of creamer now.
Oh, absolutely should.
It came but make from it like udder.
a country chill step song.
Milk in my eyes.
Milk in my eyes. It came from my udder. Like these interesting. This is funny.
It came from my. It came from my udder.
We actually only have like. I know that
2 tracks.
That sounds like kind of interesting, but we have 2 tracks left, and then we usually do like an outro kind of encore track too. So let's do. Anna, did you want to introduce the next one, and then so we're almost done.
The next one is from how do you pronounce this name?
This is Michael Saint Laurent.
Saint Laurent, okay.
Yes.
That name sounds expensive.
Right? It kind of does. It sounds like some kind of designer bag or something.
So the track title is Atlas. What do you say? Camera?
That was nice. That was so smooth that like halfway through I want to just like, yeah. Welcome to the jam. You're
Right?
listening to K893 Smooth
I
Hop.
know.
Oh, that's cool.
That just so
was-
works. That's dope.
That was so ridiculously like chill. I loved though, because like funny enough, I hate future bass. I'm sorry for those of you that enjoy it. I cannot stand it. But like the fluttery future bass LFO synthy reverse thingy worked really well here. And it
Yeah.
didn't sound cheesy. It worked very well to give it this spacious, you know, fluttering, glittery vibe, and it didn't feel like, you know, okay, cool, like wubby chords, hooray. You know, it just, I feel like that was one of the rare instances where that sound didn't make me like grind my teeth and go like, nice. No, that was great. But yeah, I couldn't not hear like Barry White in the back of my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of cool elements here, and vocals are nice. You know, this vocal chops and yeah. What do you think, Michelle?
Oh
mean,
no, I
the
totally.
duet is
I liked the LFO work in this too. I thought it was interesting. I liked that it didn't feel overdone, and I liked that it actually gave it like a really cool, like smooth, chill,
Yeah.
like momentum. Like it was one of those that I felt like it was a really nice length too. You know,
Yeah,
It's
those songs can run a bit long, and this was really like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, we
I
get it.
I felt like he did a really good job of giving it the space to work, but at the same time, like not taking it too much and just it becoming so repetitive and monotonous. Like
there was a
think he
lot
did
of good
really
subtle
job.
movement too, where
Yeah.
like it changed a little bit, and not too much to where like it took off, but like there was enough movement to, although like it was, you know, kind of the same loops happening, there was enough evolution to it to where it was like pleasant to listen to, and it wasn't just like, okay, here's 4 more bars, here's 4 more bars.
Right. No,
No, that
it
was
was
really
very
nice.
it was very relaxed. I really liked that a lot. And actually, Michael St. Laurent's been around the chill community for quite a while. He actually used to do more like chill steppy stuff, you know, back in the day. And then he's, you know, kind of not done so much. And then this came out, and you're like, oh, Michael St. Laurent released something new, you know. So it's kind of interesting because this is a little different than what he used to do. It's kind of like a fresh, like, hey, there's something new for me. It's still chill, but it's a little different. And I liked that. I thought it was cool.
It felt very refined, yeah. So I guess that makes sense that it's a more experienced producer, because
Yeah.
it was very
Yes.
clean, and I think it was like, you know, not to poo-poo on the other stuff, but it was like the bass wasn't so overbearing, and I feel like that's a really big mark of like a not so experienced engineer, where the bass is very just like, and this
Yeah.
was really clean and very well balanced, and it was nice because you were able to enjoy a lot of the details without being like you know, the kick is like punching me in the face the whole time or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
I really
I think
liked
he
it.
did a really good job with that. So we actually have one regular song left, and then we have our kind of outro song. So if anybody has any last minute questions for Cameron that you
Bring it
guys
on.
have thought of, or, you know, just
We can talk music, we can
Yeah.
talk production, we can talk music business, we can talk
Yeah.
food, we can talk colors.
No, we do not need to start food because food will blow
We'll be
up.
here
I
all
mean,
night.
Yeah. Owl's already started noodle talk, and I'm like, now you're making me hungry. Just stop. Like, yeah. But if not, then we'll probably go ahead and go into our
Okay.
next song.
All right, bring it on. What do we got?
This is Whitewildbear.
Ooh,
So-
I love Whitewildbear. All right.
Yes, and we featured him before, but this is
long time
his
ago, I
newest
think.
song. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been quite a few episodes. So he put this one out, and I was like, ooh. And I like that this one is kind of vocal led. So it's, again, flipping up that
all
variety
right.
tonight.
All
So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, the track title, Hate. No, not Hate.
Height. Yeah.
I am sorry.
This track is called Hatred.
Yes.
This is punishing flames.
Right. Okay, let's listen, guys.
up the words you never said. It was never up to me. Getting caught up in your gravity kept me hanging by a thread. Making up the words you never said. It was never up to me. Getting caught up in your gravity.
всегда верил, что в конце концов мы будем вместе на небесах или где-то еще.
Ты больше не веришь в это?
Мне недостаточно просто верить.
Cause your eyes are my prison. Exit only in your leather. I see the light, oh baby, I wanna know. Your light, show me the way. Is it what's real, or what are we waiting for? You must say we want to say. Baby, man, we are better. Exit only in your leather. Cause your eyes are my prison. Exit only in your leather. I see the light, oh baby, I wanna know. Your light, show me the way. Is it what's real, or what are we waiting for? You must say we want to say.
Hanging by a thread, making up the words you never said. It was never up to me. Getting caught up in your gravity. Hanging by a thread, making up the words you never said. It was never up to me. Getting caught up in your gravity. Hanging by a thread, making up the words you never said. It was never up to me. Getting caught up in your gravity.
I like the vibe in it, and I like how it's like it's done almost like a whole vocal song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was really cool. I like the energy to it. You know, it was a little more upbeat and whatever, and not like the, you know, rim shot on 3, like slow halftime garage stuff with pads. No, I really like that. It was cool. Very clean too. Very, very clean
Yeah.
sounding mix. I think that's one of the things I hear too is like you can hear the mid-range is more the focus, which is great because that's where a lot of the detail and the energy is. So it feels very loud and exciting and, you know, clean because it's not being overtaken by like boosted highs or boosted lows. It's just very well rounded off.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I really liked that song, and I liked the movement in it. And the vocals were really cool. I felt like the movement was really smooth. You know, like, you didn't get this, like, stuttery, choppy feel at all. Like, even though it was kind of like a drum and bassy thing kind of going on, like, it was very smooth. And I really liked
there was
that.
nothing that, like, pulled you out of it where you were like, that was weird.
Yeah, no, if anything, I felt like it almost, like, sucked you in to the groove. Like, it made you feel like you were, like, just totally grooving with it. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great. I think he did a really nice job with that.
I love the spoken word as well, but I think it's some kind from some movie.
Yeah. So what I was actually going to ask you about that. Is that Russian? Were they speaking Russian?
Yeah.
So what were they saying?
From Russia as well.
Yeah.
They were saying like, I believe we will be together someday, and she said, I'm not sure, but something like that. So it's just yeah.
You know, I always hope when I hear that, though, I always hope it's something really weird where it's like, I've got to go to the grocery store. You know, and then it's
but
like
normally it's not like that.
But yeah, it's like I just wish, you know, because it's like when people joke about, you know, people getting like tattoos and like Chinese or Japanese characters, and they, you know, it actually just says like laundry detergent. Or something like that. Whenever I hear like a, you know, a vocal thing like that in a song, I always secretly hope that it's something just kind of like a trolling thing where it sounds very emotional, but it's actually something, you know, car insurance is expensive or something just really stupid. No, that was really cool though.
That is funny with the translation stuff like that. It kind of reminds me at the beginning of DJ Okawari's Flower Dance. They have like this. It's seemingly pointless conversation, and it's in English, so I almost wonder if he did it because, you know, he's Asian and maybe he's assuming that like some of his audience that doesn't. I mean, it worked with it because like even in English it was still kind of talking about like how plants need oxygen, but it seemed like so random, like this, because the song was called Flower Dance, so I get it, like the plant correlation, but at the same time it's like, so plants use this to turn this into breathable oxygen, and the girl's just like, really? Like, I don't even remember the whole conversation, but it's right at the beginning of the song, and you're just like, where is this going? And then it just starts this beautiful like piano song with beats, and you're like, oh my goodness, that was like so weird but really cool too. So I don't know.
Maybe that needs to be the next DJ Grumpy Gills track. I'll just make like a super emotional piano thing, but I'll like hire a bunch of like,
to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, but like I'll hire a bunch of people on Fiverr who speak a bunch of different languages just to say like random non sequiturs.
Random sentences.
Yeah.
I took my dog for a walk today, but you got to say it really cool and, you know, emotional.
Yeah, like I need, that would be a weird email to get. Hi, I'll pay you $50. I need you to cry while saying, you know, like grass smells funny.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, I like maracas or something.
Yeah.
No, that was a really cool track though. Whitewildbear's always got good stuff though. I feel like
he's
one of the few artists that does some good variety while not kind of breaking the overarching theme, you know.
Yes, phrases that sound zen but have no meaning.
Have no meaning.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, that's it for our actual songs today, but we do have a really cool outro song that's a lo-fi song.
Excellent.
And usually for our outro songs, I mean, we still can kind of chat about them afterwards, but it's more just like our kind of wrap up, like if anybody has any last minute things they want to chat about in the chat kind of a thing.
I've got a couple quick questions actually.
Okay.
Well, one thing, Anna B. May just put out The Seeker like this morning or something.
Yes.
So everyone go check that one out because that's a really cool track.
It's my collaboration with BlauDisS.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was such a cool track. It was so interesting. So Anna, what is the story behind The Only Way? That was the one I really, really liked. What was that one?
Oh, really? You like this one?
Yeah, I don't know. That one just stuck. I don't know why it stuck out to me. I just really like that track. What's up with that one?
It's so silly. I played the game The Life is Strange. Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Part 2. it was a story about two brothers. They lost their father, and they needed to go through forest, and you know, it's some mystery in there as well. But it was so emotional, you know, and it just got me. I was crying so hard because when you know, it was something about the dog, and dog died, and it's for
That's
me,
always the worst.
For me, it's like
it's like movies when the people get shot or whatever. I don't even care. It's like, yeah, pull their eyes out. All right, but the dog, you touch that dog, man, and
yeah, it's totally me.
we're feeling,
you know, and I was just crying, and then I just wanted to do some music, and that's how I did The Only Way. Actually,
Interesting.
Maybe a couple of days only it took.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love that though, that there's not like some bigger, it's just like, well, I was playing this game and I cried a lot, so then I made a song about it.
But it's true story about this track,
Yeah.
so you know what I can do.
I feel like that's some of the best stuff though, is it's always kind of more unexpected moments where it
Yeah.
inspires something kind of different and a little more, you know, left field. So Michelle, on really loved your track Deliverance, because that was one you sent to me.
Yeah.
Was that your vocals on that you like chopped up?
No,
or was that like
actually, no, it wasn't.
I was wondering, because I was like, that's a really weird vocal performance. I really
Yeah.
liked it, but like with all the, you know, the pitch shifting and stuff, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell like if it was
No, I
you
mean,
or if it was just like a sample.
it was totally a sample. I wish that I could manipulate my vocals to do something cool like that, because, you know, I get teased a lot by some of my artist friends about like my vocals. They're like, they're so pretty. They're like Disney vocals. And I'm like, thanks. Like,
I get that a lot too. People are like, you know, you really remind me of like Cinderella or something. You got that
Yeah,
little
I'm sure you do
tiny
get
girl
that.
voice.
I think you probably get that a lot. Yeah. So actually, one of my friends, he used to do like piano covers of like chill songs. He used to go by BlauDisS, but now he just goes by his name, Aaron. And anyway, he does like different videos and stuff for like Instagram and YouTube. And he had done like a project. Have you ever heard of like Jacob Collier?
Yeah.
Where So he did kind of like that, where he just asked a bunch of his friends to send in like a 25-second like clip of them singing, so that he could like a cappella, you know, kind of do a thing with it. It was really,
Where
really
he would
cool.
like
Anyway,
like reharmonize it or something.
yeah, like so.
Okay.
So he would still play like your clip, but then he would a cappella like behind it. Because you know, he's one of my friends that would tease me about having Disney vocals. He asked me, he's like, "So would you want to do a clip?" I go, "Yeah, but if I do one, it's going to be a Disney song." So I picked Little
You just step up
Mermaid.
to the mic and you're like, let it go.
Yeah. So I did one of the Little Mermaid songs, and I was actually really excited because it was one of his like really well received ones. Like I think it got one of the most views, and I was like, and I just laughed. I said, I think it was just because it was Disney, and people were like, "What?
Yeah.
What is that?" Yeah. So
No,
anyway.
my wife's kind of the same way, where she's very into like musical theater stuff. So she'll be out there, and because Little Mermaid is her favorite, and she'll
I
be out
love
there,
Little Mermaid.
top of her lungs, you know, part of
Yes.
this world or whatever, or the Mean Girls
Well,
Broadway
and that's
musical.
the song that I did. I had done
Yeah.
just a 25-second clip of Part of This World. And I didn't start it in like your typical, like I literally picked it up in like the middle of the verse just to be goofy, you know, and anyway.
Well, right on.
Yeah.
Well, you both make excellent music, and everyone watching, you should go check them out if you
Oh,
haven't.
thank you
Well,
so
thank
much.
you so much.
I've still got like
yeah.
1,000 songs of you guys' stuff in my playlist, because like, you know, you've been releasing music for forever, so I'm like way behind on like everything you've released. But I try and like, you know, dig through stuff. But yeah, those are a couple of my favorites.
I've
so
only
far.
been producing for 2 years, so if you know you don't
Yeah.
want to go back too far, so
Anna
I'm
B.
just
May.
kidding.
Anna B. May has a lot of stuff.
She does. And okay, so there's a couple that are my favorite of hers that I gotta gush on a little bit.
And you guys did a collab too. Everyone they
Yeah, we
they did
did.
a collab.
Yes.
I
we've
can't
done
remember what the title of that one.
We've done a
In the
couple
very
actually.
beginning, when
Oh,
I just
okay.
started and
Yeah.
Michelle started to produce
Yeah.
music as well. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was called Come With Me. That was actually my very first song ever, so that's really interesting. Yeah, it was great. We had so much fun together. But no, one of my favorite songs of Anna's, other than Raindrops, because that's an older one of hers, but definitely a favorite, is it's called Must Fight. And it also is based off of like a movie. And I absolutely love it. And of course, Wanderer is awesome. The one that she did the remix competition.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I
song.
listened to like 5 of the different remixes and I was like, I can't hear this song again now. Like
Yeah.
There's too many.
No, but the original to that is very beautiful. And then If I Had Wings, her song If I Had Wings is very beautiful. But Must Fight, I love it. It's so, I don't know, it's just, it just hits you. It's like
I don't know
really
that I've
cool
heard that one.
feels.
I'll have to check it out.
You'll have to check it out. I love that one. That's still one of my top favorites of hers. So
I was gonna say, because I played Alicia. I think I played Alicia If I Had Wings, and she was like, she just sat here in the chair, and she was just like, you know, kind of zoning out.
Yes.
And I was like, so what do you think? She's like, it makes me sleepy, and I was like, okay. And then I can't remember which one I showed her of yours, Michelle. I think maybe it was just Deliverance, because I just really like that one.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, she loved that too. And then there was another one of yours that I liked, but I can't remember. It was like Journey or something. Let me
That
find
one
your
called-
YouTube page.
Yeah, I was like, I have one
Quest.
called Beyond. Quest.
Quest.
Yeah, that was
That was
actually an interesting one for me, but I ended up really liking it though. So yeah, that's an older one actually. So that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I just like the, I don't know, like the vibe of that song.
Aw,
I don't know what it
thanks.
was
Yeah.
about it.
Like Anna said, you know, when you had mentioned one of her other songs earlier, and she was like, "You like that one?" Like that's kind of how I feel about this one, because it's like obviously I liked that one because I released it, but most
Yeah.
people don't say that. That's not usually one of their
yeah,
favorites.
I
So I
mean,
think that's cool. Yeah.
Why I asked you, because The Only Way is actually a specific track that did not get so popular in my audience, but for me it has some special, you know, something
Yeah, I don't know. I
special,
feel like I've always
sometimes
been
it
drawn to that.
happens, Yeah.
I've always been drawn to that though, where it's like I like the deeper cuts of an artist. You
Yeah.
know, I like the stuff that's a little bit different, but I feel like it's always those, you know, just kind of like you just said, it's those little ones that are a bit more personal
Yeah.
that I feel like end up standing out to me. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But it's always
no,
like
that's actually cool.
the one that's a bit more out there that it's like, oh, that's really neat, because it's so, I don't know, not so different, but it's just such a, I don't know, almost a more pure version of like what I picture that artist being.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I will say for Anna's song, of course, honestly, Anna's my girl, so, you know, I love all of her music, to be honest. Like, I don't think Anna's ever made a song I didn't like, and I'm not just saying that because
Anna is a queen.
She's a queen. You go, girl. No, but I will say, like her song "Must Fight," though, seriously, like that song gives me goosebumps.
I got burgers to make tonight, but right after I sit down and eat a burger, I'll have to listen to that and get I'll put my feeling pants on.
It's kind of
Yes.
cinematic, orchestral, ambient.
Yeah, it
I
is,
don't
but
know
it's.
how to
I just
call
love
it.
it. It's that one just like really touched me. Like the feel of it. I don't know. It's still one of my favorites. So
It's a mood.
it's a
Thank you
mood.
so much.
Yes.
All right,
my
let's get
girl.
this.
So much. All
Let's
right.
get this
All right.
lo-fi going here. We
This
probably
is
should.
our this is our last song. This is by sadkittybeatz, and this is their song "Fear."
This one's called Hatred. Mood, bro.
Okay.
Mood. That was a nice finisher there, I think.
That's a bop.
That was a good one. That was cute. I like that. Thanks, Sad Kitty.
No, that was a good one. I always appreciate that lo-fi stuff. That's so straightforward and simple, and it's it's just like I don't know. I want to put
You got that cool like D-tune thing going on too.
Yeah.
Like that. I like that.
I want to put on my angry pants and think about stuff.
Okay, so Anna,
Oh.
we have a request for. They would like to know if we can have a double encore tonight.
Of course
Yeah.
And if
Anna
we can
is a
listen,
queen.
You guys.
and if we can hear your collab with BlauDisS, because
Okay,
come on.
guys, my collab with BlauDisS, it's actually, I'm very happy that we will play it now.
Just gonna... Oh wait, is this my debut of ambient twerking? Should I prepare?
Children, avert your eyes.
I should say that actually I love BlauDisS style, and actually we found him when we did some SGM episode before, and what I really liked about his music, because I remember it was some track of like cinematic future garage. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I really love how he blends all these different things together. And when we talked, he also told me that he likes it about my music, what he likes, that I also love to blend different things and different styles together. So we decided to collaborate, and I really like this result. So this is The Seeker, and I also have YouTube video on my channel with some music visuals, and BlauDisS actually has making of video on his YouTube channel. So if you're interested,
right on.
you can.
Oh my
can have
goodness,
a
you
look.
guys do not miss the making of video because
Because there is a doggy that plays bass.
his dog even
Really?
plays the bass. Yeah.
Yeah, really, you should
Cute.
check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I will play it.
Excellent work as always. That was great. I just love all the different drops and kind of segments and stuff, but I like, though, that there's two very distinct kind of artistic signatures on that one, which I feel like is hard to get right in a collab.
Right.
You know, you can tell there were two very different ideas, but they didn't conflict. You know, they melded together into something that was really unique.
Thank you so much.
Excellent track.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What was
really
was
good job
the
bringing
piano
that
on that?
together.
Was the piano on that you?
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Did you do the
I'm piano player,
contact library or?
This piano, actually, this particular piano is from Aleppo Pianos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, though. Sounds great. Mix is tight. Everything's great. Yeah. And, I mean, it's some ambient twerking music if I ever heard it. Like, if I was going to get sad and bounce, that's it, man. Michelle, when have we got new music from you?
Well, actually, I'm working on a collab right now with Wander. So,
Ooh. All
yeah.
right.
And actually,
Love
and I'm
Wander.
like, so I'm really excited about what we have, and we're kind of just more in the mastering phase, trying to get
Right
that
on.
tweaked how we want. So I can't wait to release it. I'm really proud of it, and I feel like it's a really cool blend of our styles together too. So
Right on. Right on. You know when that'll be out or not really? Still trying to figure out the master?
no, yeah, we're still trying to get that figured out. Hopefully soon, though. I mean, it's like so close, you know. So.
Yeah. I feel like that's mastering, though. It's 99% of the way there, always.
Oh,
it's
no,
just
it's
like,
definitely,
okay,
yeah.
it's
It's
that little
definitely like
tweak.
just that little. So I'm kind of giving Tyler rein on that. Just I'm like,
Yeah.
well, like you just kind of get it where you're happy with it. Because I mean,
It's
I feel
never
like there's-
finished. It's just when you give up on it.
pretty much. But I mean, overall, like I'm so happy with it. I can't wait to release it to everybody. So.
Right on. And then next time we'll get Fox Garden on here. Y'all ought to add him to the playlist. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, Fox Garden, huh? We'll have to check him out.
Fox Garden. It's a bop. That's some ambient twerking music right there.
Ambient
with good piano. With good piano stuff. But
this is cool. Everybody's
well, this has been
so
super fun.
Oh, yes, it was a blast, actually. And
Yes,
It was a long
no.
one.
Cameron, thank you
Well,
so much.
but
for-
hopefully in a good way. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hopefully
for
everyone
coming on.
enjoyed it. People
Yeah.
hung out like the whole time, so thanks everyone for hanging. Hope y'all.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, we
Yeah.
get asked actually all the time, even by our, stream peeps that hang out with us to do them longer. And we're usually like, 2 hours is good. So
It's a lot.
I'm sure that they assume, they're probably like, yay, we got a 4-hour stream and we got Venus Theory for 4 hours. So
Yeah, and now I must rest.
you're like, and now I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah,
No.
and on the 8th day he slept. That'll be me. Well, more on the 8th day he ate burgers and then took a nap.
And then took a nap. Okay.
Yeah. But hey, thank you guys so much for having
Thank
me
you
on.
so much. Thank
Thank
you so
Great
much for
track.
joining.
And thanks for taking time to
this.
answer everybody's questions and for being
no.
so thoughtful about them
No
too,
problem at
because
all.
that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
next time next time it'll be even better, right? We're gonna have the DJ Grumpy Gills 24-hour special. It'll be
And
all the worst hits.
And now we have new sayings, and we have new ambient twerking.
Ambient twerking.
Yeah.
Ambienttwerking.com. Actually,
Great.
don't
Yeah,
type that
let's
in.
not-
That's that's probably
no.
a bad idea.
Yeah, don't do that.
But hey, well,
That's
thanks
all-
again.
that's all, Caitlin.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a
Yes.
blast.
That's been awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out
Good
with
night.
us.
Thank you so much for coming today. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.